Welcome to a Thursday edition, the Bill Michaels Show. It's a Wednesday edition for the Green Bay Packers, who are back on the practice field today, getting ready for Monday night's contest in New York. Big Apple heading to the Meadowlands. You got Bucks today. Weird time, 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock as a really weird time gets underway for Bucks basketball. They're in the semis of the in-season tournament. And they get the win. They would then face the winner of the Lakers and the Pelicans. The Lakers and the Pelicans. And then college hoops. Man, you talk about a bounce back. Marquette getting knocked off by Wisconsin and then beat the hell out of Texas last night down at the Fiserv Forum. Man, what a game that was. Sat up and watched that game for a while last night. So that was an impressive win. So anyway, just a lot of stuff to get to. We had started to talk yesterday. We were talking about regarding the Packers, Joe Barry, and what is left to prove the remainder of the season. Then we got into a little bit last night during the huddle, which was rather interesting. But one of the things we talked about last night was, if Jordan Love keeps up this pace, what would a contract extension look like for Jordan Love at the end of the season? If they believe that he's the dude, man, then what would a contract extension look like for him? So we get into that a little bit today as well. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. That's the phone number to find us. You can hit us up on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. Read some stuff over there. At Wisco Grant for Graham Bills, producing the program at Wisco Grant. Find us on Instagram, The Bill Michaels Show. The Bill Michaels Show. All of it, all together over there on Instagram. Same thing at Facebook. That's the fan page, facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. Watch on YouTube. We're over 4,000 subscribers now. It's been good. More and more people finding it, which is great. Love it. But we're over 4,000 subscribers. Now, we're not worldwide, so to speak, but we get our fair share. So I like that. And we've got quite a few people that do watch. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. Then on Twitch TV, which is the Twitch app you can download, the Kick app you can download. We got business people that follow us over on LinkedIn as well that watch the show there. You can email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com, thebillmichaels@gmail.com, or just simply go to the website, thebillmichaels.com. And you can listen anywhere and everywhere on the Zone app, the Zone Madison, Zone, the Zone Madison. And then you can find us after the fact on Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, and wherever you get your favorite podcasts as well. So there you go. Grant Bills, how are we looking today?
I'm doing good. I think I jacked up my back last night. I must have slept weird. I was just telling Ebo. I think I just slept weird. Is that what you do? I'm not even old. I'm 25. How can I jack up my back by sleeping weird?
I can get it. I get it. Hey, if you do something or you sleep weird, or you go to twist or turn and it's not something you normally do, yeah, it can cause a muscle to tweak. Or if you're dehydrated, muscles will cramp up and tweak up that way too. So, I don't know, but I don't know what your daily habits are, but I get it.
Just living on iced coffee and energy drinks. You're telling me I might not be perfectly hydrated.
You might not
all the
be
time?
hydrated. I'll throw that out
Damn
there.
it.
Yeah, you might not be hydrated.
Other than that, though, I'm great today.
Because I will go through, I've got a glass of water that I keep with me, and I got to go down and get it. But usually I keep with me when I'm on the air, but I go through like 2 of them a show, and it's 30 ounces of water in the glass. So I'll go through about 60 ounces while I'm on the air, and then another glass or 2 later in the day. So because once you have the kidney thing, poof, you never want it again. And so I try to keep as hydrated as I possibly can. Plus, I cramp easy. So if if I go out for a night and I have some drinks and I don't drink water with it, that almost guaranteed about 3 a.m, I'm going to cramp up, can't move my leg. I'm pressing against a wall. I'm falling down the stairs, the whole thing. I'm a mess. So, yeah. What else do we have for you? We will find out today everybody that is and is not practicing and is on the list and not on the list and all that kind of stuff. And we'll find out when the Packers hit the practice field. You're hoping to get Jair back. You're hoping that you can see maybe Aaron Jones. Although I got to say, if I'm the Packers, I hold Aaron Jones out another week. Not because I think New York's easy, but I don't want to put him on that turf. Not with a sprained MCL. So if they say, well, I can't believe he's not back, I can. If I'm Doc McKenzie, there's no way. I'm going to say take another week, rest, relax, give that MCL another week to kind of heal up. We'll use you for the stretch run when you come back to Lambeau Field on the natural surface. Not going to put him on that turf at MetLife. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. So, what else do we have here? We got Mark right out of the chute today. Says, great topic last night about Jordan Love and how much money he would be making. My friends and I got into this last evening, and you started it. And you started it all with capital letters and then exclamation points. He said, my friends are saying 50 to 60 million guaranteed. Others are saying 20 to 30 guaranteed. Give me your thoughts. You never really did expound upon it last night. It depends on what he does the rest of the season. Like if it was today and the season just ended, the Packers made the postseason, and he ends on this incredible run where he's considered one of the best quarterbacks over the last 4 weeks in the National Football League. I'm still a little skeptical by what I saw in the first 8 games, more so than what I've seen in the last 4. But I would say you go 3 or 4 years. How much it's about the guaranteed money, because if you go 4 years, say 110, 120 million, and you backload it to where you have the ability to kind of cut through, that's a great question. I probably say 30 million, 40 million, somewhere in there, guaranteed. If that's the guy if that's where you're gonna go. But I don't know if I'm ready to jump into that pool yet. But if it were to end today and you had to make that decision, you would then extend that out, and maybe that's the direction you would go. And here's the other thing. You're going to go onto the little bit lower side, because what you're going to do is, yes, he wants the money, and yes, of course, he wants to be treated fairly and such, and I understand all of that. But 2 things. One is you don't want to put yourself back into a salary cap issue that you had with Aaron Rodgers. Not that you're going to in that kind of money, but you know what I mean. And 2 is, what if it's a one-hit wonder? What if he goes through the 4 or 5 game streak, you get beat in the postseason, so you really can't tell exactly what it is you have because San Francisco beats the crap out of you. Then you come back and it's still not perfect. So I'm giving him enough to be satisfied with, but I'm also giving him enough and keeping enough back for myself that I'm going to give him another bite at the apple. I'm going to say, okay, if you play really well, we're going to reward you anyway. You have another shot at not only setting yourself up for the rest of your life, but, setting up your generations for the rest of their lives. So that's kind of the direction I would go. That's probably about fair. And I know people want to base it upon other quarterbacks' contracts, but some of these contracts are flat out bad. And we all know that. Last night there was, the comparison was, well, what about, New York's quarterback? And no, because that turned out to be an extremely bad deal. Now the money's on the table. You can't put the blank back in the horse, if you get my drift. But I'm not going to give him Daniel Jones kind of money. Not right away. Ain't happening. So, hey, today is also a Thursday, and you know what that means. Thursday is Fantasy Football Day as we start to head down the stretch. Is this postseason time for fantasy football, or is there one more week left? I wouldn't know, because I only have one team left, and my buddy pretty much runs that team. I am only there because of money. But I'm out of the Guillotine League. I was the first one out because my team sucked massively on week 1. But since then, it's been a scoring juggernaut. But is this the last week of fantasy football?
Well, it depends on your league. Obviously, I hadn't even thought about it, and I'm checking now. Let's see, 8-5 in this league. It's probably this week and maybe one more before the play. We're getting close, but no, I don't think we're in the playoffs yet, depending on your league, obviously. But
yep. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Dustin says it's too early to call him the guy. The first 8 weeks were evidence of that. Let him finish the season and then see what happens next season first. So you're saying don't extend him, wait until next season to then make a deal. Okay. Pete says, can you speak of on the list, commentary on the NFL injury designations? Whatever happened to probable or doubtful, everybody is always listed as questionable. Now, because coaches don't want to tip their hand, for lack of a better term. Everybody's questionable. Everybody's questionable. It just is. I mean, unless they're probable, everybody's questionable. I know, I get it. But you can pretty much tell if a guy doesn't practice all week and doesn't practice on Friday, chances are they're not playing. You can pretty much see, because you have to label that. And if they're limited all week and they're still questionable, chances are they're not going to play. If you can't go a full practice or a full Friday practice when you really kind of go through all the details of your game plan, chances are you're not playing. So you kind of read between the lines a little bit on that. You kind of get an understanding, but I'm not saying it's a perfect science, but it gives you more of a probability of understanding, I guess is the best way to put it. Cody says, if your league has a 3-week playoff, this is the last regular season game in fantasy. Weeks 15, 16, and 17 are the playoffs. Yeah, nobody does a fantasy league anymore in week 18 because there's teams that rest everybody when they've have everything locked up or games don't matter. It doesn't usually. Week 18 is kind of a throwaway for some, for fantasy players anyway, not necessarily for players that are trying to get contracts and make teams next year. But yeah, so usually 15, 16, 17 is your fantasy league postseason. So
I lost a fantasy football league a couple of years ago because our commissioner had the last game of the year in week 18, or it might have been week 17 at the time. Yeah. So I had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce both were sitting. I had DK Metcalf who was resting that week, and I made a big stink in the group chat about it, and everyone said I was being a poor sport, and I have not let go of it to this day. It still pisses me off.
I wouldn't let go of it, not at all. Because what commissioner does that?
That's what I'm saying. Let's be better.
The last week, there's two things you should be able to do. One is you should already have you should be able to take your winnings as a fantasy football winner in week 17 and parlay them into some kind of an online betting thing that you can just sit back, relax, and watch football in week 18. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, you should be able to roll around in your own money. You should be able to get your money, throw it on your bed, and lay naked in it watching week 18 from your bed full of money. That's the other reason you should have your fantasy football done by week 17. Just thought I'd throw it out there. That's just me.
It's funny. I said the exact same thing in the group chat. I said, I wish I was naked with my cash right now, but I can't be. And they thought that was weird. I'm like, I don't get it.
Well, what's weird is you included a picture. So, yeah.
That's why I wasn't invited back into the league. Yes. I got mad in the chat and then I sent a picture that I shouldn't have.
Yeah, you should have never done that. the words rang hollow after the picture came through. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Kunis, Kunes, Kunis RV, Wisconsin's fastest growing RV dealer. Go to kunisrv.com, whether it's new, used, concierge service, storage, parts, accessories, gift ideas, gift cards. They've got it all. Go to Kunis, Kunes, kunisrv.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ho, ho, ho! I need a window.
Baby, it's cold outside.
So where do I go? Ho, ho.
Come on, Santa. Go to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Now is the time to replace your leaky windows and doors. You and Mrs. Claus can get your new windows while putting no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. Unwrap this gift now, but pay for it later.
More jingle that stays in my pocket.
That's right, Santa. Plus, our elves install year-round and in as little as one day. Pella offers lines in luxurious wood, upgrade to fiberglass and vinyl.
Why not make a New Year's resolution today?
That's the spirit, Santa.
Hell no. Pay later. Oh.
Absolutely. Put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. But you have to hurry. Offer ends December 31st. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 12/31/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
They had a great turnout this past weekend down at the Nice Ash in Waukesha. The Waukesha Christmas Parade went off without a hitch. It was a great time. A lot of people had fun. And I had quite a few people that listened to the program in the area that were down there for the parade, never had been into the Nice Ash, and said, what a cool place. And had the hot chocolate. Aaron McGroovy was down there bartending, and the people had a fun time. The entertainment on the weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, always good. They have a huge humidor, walk-in humidor, like 3, 4, 5 different, heights of shelving and just loaded. And they have hookahs, they have fine bourbons and whiskeys, and just so many reasons to head down there, whether sitting in the big plush chairs up front watching a game, or sitting at the bar, or listening to music. Just a really good time in a big spacious place. That's theniceash.com, 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha. Great place to go. Love that place. We were talking about what a contract might look like. And what's interesting is not a lot of guesses as to what the contract may look like, but the discussion over on the live stream basically has become whether or not to even consider a long-term deal at this point. The majority of people over on the live stream, and the 2 or 3, Mike, Jennifer, Chad, and Randy, have all basically said the same thing. They said, look, it's too early to start talking about contract extensions. While I believe in Love, I don't necessarily believe in Love for a lot of money. I don't want to see them overpay to keep a guy that's only had 4 games that are decent under his belt. Yes, he's been good, but he wasn't good prior to that. I don't know what switch flipped, but he says he has not totally earned a big contract yet. Let's be cautious. That is from Mike. Mike, appreciate the email. But like I said, it's, everybody that is over on that live stream kind of saying the same thing, like, I don't know if I'm ready to jump into that pond yet. And again, the hypothetical was if the season ended today, Jeff also says, hey, Bill, with all the talk about Justin Fields no longer being with the Chicago Bears next year, would you take him as a backup? Not really. I think he could be better here for 2 reasons. One is he's got a better offensive line. The offensive line in Chicago has never been stellar. Never been stellar. And between Eberflus and Getsy and all the different regimes that have been in and out and this and that, look, and all the issues that once proud organization has had in recent history, I don't think he's been coached the best. But I also don't think he's very accurate. What would be cool is if, and again, I don't think that this would ever happen because you want to stick with traditional, but this was also floated out there, was what if you ran him like Wildcat? Because he can run. What if you had him alongside Jordan Love via Wildcat? I mean, it changes the dynamic of the offense, but that is something that it's kind of come and gone, and you certainly don't want to pay him an exorbitant amount of money. You don't want to bring him in like that, but you have Tom Clemens, who can work with quarterbacks and for all intents and purposes has steadily progressed with Jordan Love and always had it doesn't mean a whole lot now with the proof being in the pudding the way it is, but has always had the stamp of approval from Aaron Rodgers. But could they make him a better quarterback? Maybe. I think so, but I don't know how much better. And I certainly wouldn't want to pick him up as a free agent and pay him any kind of an exorbitant amount of money. However, you're seeing right now throughout the NFL that all of this whole growing list of starting quarterbacks in the NFL, they've all gone down. And it doesn't hurt to have a quality backup, especially if you have a team that you believe can make it to the postseason that's sitting in your stable. I think general managers are starting to look over that fence and go, maybe we should overpay a little bit to keep a good quality backup in the stable just in case. Let's go to the phone calls. Let's get your opinion on this. Let's go to first out of the chute today. Tyler, listening to us in Brookfield. Tyler, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Doing good, Bill. How's it going?
Great today.
That's good. Now, the only thing I have about not signing, I mean, how much of the Daniel Jones, would you give him like $30 million a year? I mean, because if you don't give him enough to satisfy him and he bets on himself and he continues to play the way he's playing next year, we're going to be back in the same boat that we were with Aaron Rodgers, and we're going to be paying the quarterback $50 to $60 million a year.
Oh, boy.
So I kind of compare it to like the Jackson Churio situation, because you're betting on the traits and you're betting that he continues to improve. And so, I mean, would you rather take a bigger risk and it's and you know that he's the guy, or would you rather take a little bit bigger of a risk, but then you can get him what could be a top 10 quarterback on a cheap deal, and you can surround him with elite pieces? Yeah,
I would rather have, boy, that's a great question, because there's no way I'm paying him 4 years, $160 million. That I'm not going to give him. And I know that, the cap hit this year was minimal for Daniel Jones, but that thing grows exponentially to the point of over 30, what is it? $36 million or something like that over the next couple of years is what they're going to end up owing him. He's not. There's no way I'm paying Jordan Love that. If I could get him for maybe $30 million less for $130 million and backload it, so it makes it more in front load the contract, pay it out early, so it doesn't cost me a lot to cut him loose later if I need to do so. Maybe I do that, but I don't know that I'm not doing Daniel Jones money. I'm not doing 4 years, $160 million. I couldn't do it. I mean, look at it this way. If they wanted to, Daniel Jones proved this year that he's just not that good. And last year, we learned the offense basically ran through Saquon Barkley. So if they wanted to cut Daniel Jones, say in this offseason, after signing that contract, they owe him $70 million. There's no way I would do that. It was a terrible contract. So I appreciate the phone call. No, it would be, and even then, I think going 3 years down the road, they're going to still owe him like 22 or 24 million before the final payout, which is, oh God, I think the dead cat money by the time it was, when I looked it up last night, it was like 11 or 12 million bucks. But yeah, there's no way I'm paying him right now $30 million a year.
So Daniel Jones, just for reference, because I like having other contracts to compare. When we're talking about what we could potentially play a player, I like precedent. So Daniel Jones got 4 years, $160 million, which essentially shakes out to, well, about $40 million, per year. Geno Smith got 3 years, $75 million. So that shakes out to about 25. Why? You explain this to me, Bill. Why did the Giants have to pay that much more for Daniel Jones than the Seahawks did for Geno Smith? Was there some idea that Daniel Jones was still on the rise and Geno Smith was a tier below? It's so confusing how question. Daniel Jones got 15 more per year.
Well, Daniel Jones wasn't he coming out of his rookie deal?
Mm-hmm. And look, people were probably hesitant with Geno.
Failed someplace else. So, yeah. I mean, that was probably part of it because coming out of New York with the Jets, they beat him down like they did Zach Wilson. It wouldn't surprise me if Zach Wilson goes on somewhere else and has somewhat limited success, better than what he did in New York, because he just would be greener pastures and the pressure would be off, so to speak. So that wouldn't surprise me at all. Much like with Geno Smith, he said getting out of New York was one of the best things he ever did. It was a great learning experience and how to handle pressure, but getting out of New York was one of the best things. So, and you had mentioned it, a lot of people like to go back to New York towards the end of their career and not necessarily, unless they're terrific, start their career in New York because of the pressure. And all the, the naysayers, and, instead of having 4 million people in the state of Wisconsin as Packers fans, you got, 12 to 14 million pounding on you every day in that area. So, it wouldn't surprise me if Zach Wilson has success. But no, to go back to your point, 3 years, $75 million bucks. I would not, and then what, 30 or 40 guaranteed? I would do that in a heartbeat. But if the season ended today, but I think there is a lot of determining to do over the next 5 games to see how, if this roll and this rise continue on over the next 5 games. But that I'd be more likely with the Geno Smith side of things than I would be. Plus, if you're getting that amount of money and you're getting 30 to 40, 50 million up front in the signing bonus and the guaranteed money, then it also gives you another bite at the apple to get that other big deal if you're that good. It benefits both, really. So if you're that good, then you're going to get another, in 2 years, you're going to be talking 2-3 years, you're talking about another extension. Then that, if you've proven yourself yet again, that would be the massive extension. And in the meantime, you're still on a deal that's very team friendly, to where you're giving your team more opportunities and more ability to go out and find additional players to help you. Because that's your window of opportunity to win a championship right there. Because once you say, hey, I need, if you turn out to be really, really good and you say, hey, I need, 5 years at 100 and, or $200 million, well, then, by then that's strapping the team and then you're done. You're not going to win that way. So interesting. 877-867-1670. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. Come back. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
No, you can't. Hey, if you are listening anywhere in the state of Wisconsin, even a little bit beyond the borders, Master Z's, I don't know if you follow them on Facebook or on Instagram. They've been putting out all kinds of posts of all the different inventory they just had in. Bars, bar stools, pool table. They got a huge selection right there set up for you to see, touch, smell, feel. Pool tables, shuffleboard tables, regulation, which are really big. You got to have a big room for those, or the smaller bar ones. Either way, they're awesome. Table games. They have bumper pool. They have so much. Darts, dartboards, all the accessories, pool cues, balls, everything you need for your indoor holiday fun and beyond. Great fun for the entire family. So check out our friends at Masters East, and the quality, second to none. Second to none. They say, look, see it today, get it tomorrow. That's our friends at Masters East. Blue Mountain Road in Brookfield. Call today, 262-746-5931 for the in-store specials. Ask for Rob. Rob's the owner. Ask for Rob, 262-746-5931. 262-746-5931. That is Masters East on Blue Mountain Road in Brookfield. And good stuff over there. There's all kinds of stuff going on. I got a lot of stuff happening over on the live stream. Pac-Fan says Ken Ingalls had a tweet that said Love's next deal could be 4 years, $194 million with $57.5 million in signing bonus money. I think the 194 is ridiculous. The 57, I can see that. Last night we were talking between 30 and 50, 50 and 70. So landing right there in the middle, I can see that. But 4 years, $194 million. Well, here's the question, Pac-Fan. Let me ask you this. Would you pay that? Would you pay that right now? If that's what and again, Ken Ingalls is, the guy that everybody looks to for the numbers. Is that the case? Would you pay that? That's my question. Mary says Love is not worth that much. Emails popping up. Jack says I would go 3 years, $75 million. Mark, can you get him on a longer term deal? Because if he's truly your guy, wouldn't you want to pay him over the long term? Say 7 to 10 years. God, no. God, no. First of all, I don't think the Players Association will want that. And because they want you to have as many bites as the apple as you can. So Brandon says, no, I wouldn't pay it. Rick says, nope, would not pay that. That is a major push your chips to the middle of the table bet. And you had better be right. I wonder what that number's based off of. I would assume it's on similar contracts, but Grant, would you pay that? 4 years, $194 million?
Well, I would have to dig into, what that means per year and signing bonus. And it's really hard for my brain is not wired to do these things. Like that's Ken Ingalls' thing. I watch games and I come up with takes. And so I would need to study a little bit more, but you had a comment that said he's not worth that. I don't know if we know what he's worth yet. And I know we're in early December, but if he plays awesome and they win out and they make the playoffs and he looks like the player that he's looked like the last couple of weeks, I think he might be worth that. He could also drop off and the Packers offense could really start to scuffle and we're like, he just had a good couple of weeks. We don't know what he's worth yet. There's still a lot of season left. And I know that's hard for people because it's December 7th and it feels like we're really getting late in the season, but we've still, relatively barely seen him play. He's not, through his first year in the NFL yet.
Yeah. And that's just it, is that he's not even in that yet when it comes to all of that. I just, he hasn't proven enough to even justify the discussion of that level of money. I couldn't imagine it. Couldn't imagine it. 877-867-1670. Matt says, no way in hell I would want the Packers to put that much money out there for a guy that only has 4 games. Art says, are you out of your effing mind? If they would pay that, I would throw my hands in the air and completely give up. You're going right back to strapping yourself as an organization, jumping from the pan back into the fire. You got rid of Aaron Rodgers, his arrogance, and his big contract. Why would you then do that and handcuff yourself? It depends on what the numbers shake out to. I mean, if you're talking 54 million, I think is what they said would be guaranteed over 4 years. That's not terrible because your base salary, you can manipulate. So it might not be terrible to that sense. Let's go to Brad listening to us in Marshfield. Brad, welcome to the program, man. What's going on?
Hey, with this Jordan Love thing.
Yeah.
I have an idea. Why don't they just go with another 1-year deal? Because, he hasn't really proven any. What's he prove? If he has a good year, what happens if he comes back next year and has a shitty year and you're locked into a contract for $100 million? No, just give him another 1 year. And if he does fine, I don't have a problem with that. You can give him the moon. I don't care. And also, Bill, why haven't you and Mr. Clemens went to Murphy's golf course that he bought? I don't know if you know about that, but he bought a golf course, and I thought maybe Tom could get you guys some passes.
You know what? Appreciate the phone call. I have to look into that. I have not, and I'll be honest with you. Here's the other side of that. I haven't played a lot of golf this year. I got out, I think, 10, 12 times maybe. I didn't get a chance to. Mike doesn't really play golf. Mike drives the cart. He sips his mixed beverage and talks to me. But I didn't play a whole lot this year. Unfortunately, I just didn't have time. I played more on trips than I did at home, to be honest with you. So maybe I'll have to look into doing that next year. Thank you very much. This one's from Ryan. Ryan says, there's no way I'm going to pay Jordan Love that kind of money. I don't think he's proven enough yet to warrant that big of a pay raise. However, I would start talking to him now to say the exact same thing that you're saying. That is, you have 4 good games, 8 bad games. Some games weren't your fault. The gray area lies somewhere in between, and see if you can't get him on a deal that's going to be team friendly for a while and give him enough money to make him happy and secure his family for years to come. That's from Ryan. The best deals are the ones that work for everybody. But you also, again, like I said, I don't want to go huge because I don't want to see the Packers jump back into the fire of what could possibly happen when it comes to, strapping this team for salary cap breakdowns. But again, it all goes back to what your base salary is. If you can keep the base salary $30 million or under, preferably over the next couple of years, really low, so you can afford to stockpile as much talent as you need and hopefully win in the next couple of years specifically. But then you get a real good determination as to what you need, how your drafts are and such. But if you can keep it low, say all the way through 2024, 26, maybe 27, then you have the ability to renegotiate that deal should things really work out. And then he would be probably amenable to that. So that's the direction that I would go. That's the direction that I would go. That's just me. 877-867-1670. But that, again, and PacFan says, Ken Ingles has a good breakdown of it. I'll have to take a look at it during the break. But if you're going to go that much money, and he's now saying that it would be $194 million and a 4-year extension with 57, I think, of it guaranteed. That's a chunk of change, man. That is a chunk of change. Stay tuned. Stay right where you're at. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ho, 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 I need a window.
Baby, it's cold outside.
So where do I go? Ho, ho.
Come on, Santa. Go to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Now is the time to replace your leaky windows and doors. You and Mrs. Claus can get your new windows while putting no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. Unwrap this gift now, but pay for it later.
More jingle that stays in my pocket.
That's right, Santa. Plus, our elves install year-round and in as little as 1 day. Pella offers lines in luxurious wood to fiberglass and vinyl.
Why not make a New Year's resolution today?
That's the spirit, Santa.
Hella no, pay later.
Absolutely. Put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. But you have to hurry. Offer ends December 31st. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 12/31/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on. Hey. Night. Tomorrow night, we are going to be at the classic Okachi Christmas. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully you come out and join us. It's going to benefit Fisher House, Wisconsin, and it's 2 nights of music, festivities, fundraising, all for veterans. 2 shows. And depending on what level of tickets you want, there's tickets that are available right now, but you've got basically celebrating the holiday season with a rockestra of live music, and they're going to do Christmas carols, they're going to do rock music, raising funds for veterans, for Fisher House, Wisconsin veterans, military members and their families. And I'm going to be there tomorrow night doing some MC work. I got Zeno and Joe and everybody that are going to be on stage. You get some beverages, you get heavy food. There's so much good stuff. That's the first time they're ever doing this. First time they're doing this. It's going to be so much fun. Come on out either tomorrow night or Saturday or both, for that matter. But tomorrow night, I'm going to be there. Come on out, say hello. Friday night, December 8th, Saturday night, December 9th. And if you stop on in, you can get, like I said, food. You can get yourself some beverages. And it's brought to you by, some of the sponsors that are out there. Lakefront Realty, owned by the Okachi friends, National Buick, and also Bank 59, and Walking Pool, and so many great sponsors that jumped on board with this. So please make it out tomorrow night. You want to come out and have some fun. You want to sing along, do Christmas carols, enjoy yourself, get in the holiday spirit, bring friends. Our total alone, I think, is 17 or 18 tomorrow night. So just us, we're bringing our own party. Come on out and have a great time. And that is at the Okachi, Smoke on the Water Okachi. So if you want to find the information on it, you can go to Smoke on the Water BBQ Okachi. Smoke on the Water BBQ Okachi. Again, Smoke on the Water BBQ Okachi. And you can find it, click there for tickets and all that kind of good stuff. Or just stop out, but we prefer to purchase anything. We're having a fun time. That's taking place tomorrow and again on Saturday. So good stuff. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. This is from Mark. Mark said that the extension for Jordan Love is premature. Jordan Love has had 4 good games, 2 really good games out of a season of 12. Why is he then determining $200 million-ish is going to be the number? I think it's ridiculous. Let's just let the season play out. And I think that's where a lot of people are figuring out. That's where a lot of people are right now. I get it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free. If you want to go ahead and do the show. Let's go to Brad. Brad listening to us in Marshfield. Brad, how you doing today, man? What's up? Brad dropped out. Okay. Lost Brad. Brad's gone. What did you just call and ask you, Grant?
Well, I got a call. Someone wanted to know if the contracts are tax deductible for the Packers. I'm like, I don't think so. I think that's payroll.
That is
I
payroll.
don't know. I would assume no, though.
No, that is payroll. That is a contracted player to your business. I appreciate the thought. Somebody trying to save a little money, I guess. I don't mind that. But no, that's not the case. Oh, my goodness. What else do we have here before I move on? Don't forget Andy Herman of the Pack 8 podcast. We'll talk with Andy about this team in about 35 minutes. We'll talk with him and get his opinion on what he thinks Jordan Love might or might not be worth. And also we'll talk with him specifically about this Packers team and what they've done so right and what he's seen over the last couple of weeks specifically. So we'll get into that discussion. And don't forget Paul Charchi today. Excursion of Fantasy Football. Charchi's back today at noon. So if you're ready to head into that last week push for your fantasy football season, you're going to need some Charchi help. Start getting your fantasy football questions in right now, if you can. Right now. This one is from Joe. Joe says, why are we talking about a contract extension for a quarterback who's only played a handful of games? Well, at this point, there's no way. If it came down to either letting him go or signing him to a huge long-term contract extension, I would let him walk. Well, that's the reason there's negotiators. I mean, yeah, if somebody put a gun to your head and say either pay him $200 million or let him go, I don't know. I wouldn't want to pay him. But that's the chance you take with every quarterback in a quarterback-driven league, right? And look what happens when you pay a quarterback a ton of money and he doesn't pan out. You know, Deshaun Watson, they paid all that money, and he has been banged up. He has not played really well. He's played a couple of games decent. He's done for the season. You're stuck with that contract. And all of that money was guaranteed, right?
Well, I think some of these teams have hurt themselves, too, because not only did the Browns give him a big contract, but they gave him a guaranteed contract, and they gave up a bunch of picks for him. Right. Denver did the same thing. So if the Packers give Jordan Love a contract and it doesn't really work out that great, you have outs. You can move off of them, right? A lot of that money isn't guaranteed. It's when you give up all the picks, and then you also give a guaranteed contract, and the guy said, like, some of these teams have doubled and tripled down on bad quarterback contracts.
And you're right on the Russell. Now, Russell Wilson's contract last year was terrible. This year's starting to look better. And depending on what happens this weekend is really going to determine whether or not they've got that playoff push in them, which I didn't think we'd be talking about that at all. And again, Sean Payton, total jag for saying what he said. But does Sean Payton look right now? He's everybody jumped on Sean Payton because Rodgers did. Keep my guy's name out of your mouth. Shut up. But does now I don't want to go to the Aaron Rodgers side of things, but does Sean Payton look right? If you had to now look at Sean Payton, do you say, Sean, you were right, holy crap, we owe you an apology? Because he said Nathaniel Hackett did an incredibly bad coaching job, and then he goes out and gets dump trucked by 70, and everybody made fun of him. But since then, they basically have done nothing but win.
I think Sean Payton has gotten the defense balanced out because they gave up 70 earlier this year. And I remember talking on this show, Bill, we're like, why are they giving up 70? Their defense was amazing last year. They brought everybody back. So Sean Payton kind of brought the team back down to earth and got things leveled out. But Russell Wilson still is not worth the money that they're paying him.
No.
He's doing a great job of managing that and winning anyways. I actually think Sean Payton's done a really good job, but he has not been dealt a winning hand here. But he's done a lot more with that hand than Nathaniel Hackett did, and that he deserves credit for.
Right. But let me take this a step further. So he said it was one of the worst coaching jobs, or the worst coaching job ever. Basically slammed Nathaniel Hackett. Okay. Rodgers comes out defending, keep my guy's name out of your mouth, blah, blah, blah. Since then, he went out, got dump trucked by Miami, slowly started to build this thing back, and like you said, was dealt a bad hand, and with the bad hand, has turned this team back into what many would consider to be, at least if they win this weekend, a team that is efforting towards the postseason. Correct? In the meantime, Nathaniel Hackett, it doesn't matter who they throw out there, quarterback. He can't fix that problem. And people in New York basically say Cobb sucks. Everybody sucks. Billy Turner sucks. Nathaniel Hackett sucks. Tim Boyle sucks. Alan Lazard sucks. Everything Rodgers wanted and everything he preached sucks if Rodgers isn't there. So do we owe Sean Payton an apology? 877-867-1670. That's another thought. Stay tuned. Whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. 3 hours yet to go. Andy Herman coming up in about 30 minutes. We'll be back coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, this afternoon, we'll see the Milwaukee Bucks in the semifinals of the NBA's first in-season tournament. That's after taking down the New York Knicks Tuesday night, who boasted the NBA's best scoring defense, as the Bucks would top that average by 41 points, beating the Knicks 146-122. Coach Adrian Griffin says their job's not done yet, though.
We wanted to get to Vegas, but, when we get to Vegas, we got to take care of business. We got 2 games to win there. Celebrate. Thought we played an outstanding game. Give credit to the Knicks that, they were tough-minded group, well-coached group. But I thought our team was the better team.
The Bucks now take on the Pacers this afternoon in Las Vegas. Tip-off is at 4 o'clock. The winner will get either the Lakers or the Pelicans in the finals. Turning to Wisconsin basketball, the Badgers are running high after beating Michigan State and currently riding a 6-game win streak. They'll look to build off that momentum when they travel to the top team in the country, Arizona, on Saturday. 2023 has been a great year for the members of LiUNA Wisconsin, their contractors, and other construction industry partners. LiUNA Wisconsin would like to wish you a safe, happy, and healthy holiday season. And it is not too early to start thinking about the new year. If you would like to learn more about a career as a member of LiUNA Wisconsin, where you will earn great union wages, healthcare, and a pension, please learn why you are worth so much more by visiting liunawisconsin.org. The Green Bay Packers have added a veteran running back to their backfield. Kenyon Drake was signed to the practice squad while James Robinson was cut. This will be Drake's fourth team this year. He did run for 482 yards with the Ravens last year. The Packers, they're getting ready to face the Giants on the road for Monday Night Football. And finally, Wisconsin football is gearing up for January 1st. That's when they go to Tampa for the ReliaQuest Bowl, where they'll face LSU. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Bill Michaels Show continuing on today. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Would love to hear you. You know what? There's so much talk about MVP right now going on, and I get it because it's a big game coming up. I don't know. Dak Prescott is playing incredibly well. I don't know. It's like people are willing Dak Prescott because he's the most talked about quarterback in the National Football League for some reason. It's like people are willing him to an MVP. Do you think Dak's the front runner for the MVP right now?
Yes. I thought that since after that Thursday night. I thought that going into that Seahawks game last week, and then thought it even more after the Seahawks game. Yeah.
Man. Tyreek Hill is pushing 2,000 yards. How do we not consider Tyreek Hill? You know what I mean?
He'll be considered, he'll be talked about, but it was the same with Cooper Kupp when he won the Triple Crown a couple of years ago. It's like, that's really nice, but now we're going to give it to the best quarterback.
Yeah, it's man, I don't know. Maybe it's because I am so anti-Dak and always have been. I thought they just blew a ton of money on him when they paid him all of that, and he hasn't really won in the postseason. I mean, when it comes to overall yardage, really, I mean, C.J. Stroud's the yardage leader. C.J. Stroud, I mean, as a rookie, his quarterback rating is 101.1. Brock Purdy's is 116. How can Brock Purdy not be considered one of the best passers in the National Football League? And it's not a lot by a little. It's by a lot. Dak Prescott is the second most highest rated quarterback at a 108.3. And then it's like a point or two that divide everybody else all the way down. Brock Purdy's thrown for 3,185 yards. Dak Prescott, 3,234 yards. Brock Purdy averages 9.6. Dak Prescott, 7.9. Their yards per game are about even. Brock Purdy has a higher completion percentage. He's got 23 touchdowns, 6 TDs. Dak has 26 and 6 TDs. They both have played in 12 games. Dak has attempted 411 passes. Brock Purdy's done it 332 attempts. I'd give it to Brock Purdy. How can Brock Purdy not be in the consideration, like serious consideration for an MVP? Tua is thrown for even more yards. CJ Stroud's thrown for the most yards in the National Football League. And he's got 20 touchdowns and only 5 picks and a quarterback rating of 101.2. I don't know how I can just turn around and give it to Dak. And the 49ers dump trucked Dallas earlier this year. So how can Dak be the front runner? Other than just popularity contest, how can Dak be the front runner? It would be a travesty if you didn't give it to Brock Purdy at this point. Am I missing something here?
I also don't think that Brock Purdy's the best player on his own team. Like, I think McCaffrey's better. I think Debo's better. So that's part of it too. Dak is at least the face of his franchise and the best player on his offense. You could argue Micah Parsons, but Dak is the face of the franchise, and that's part of it too.
Yeah, I mean, with Christian McCaffrey, I think leads all rushing yards so far this season with he's over 1,000 yards. That I know. And
I'm not saying that this is a clear and easy MVP decision.
Right.
This is a weird year, and I don't think there's a perfect option, but Dak might be the best one right now. And if he plays really good against the Eagles on Sunday night, then there's still a couple of weeks left. So this is not set in stone.
Right. And that's a great question. But you just look at the standings. Dallas 9-3, San Francisco 9-3. San Francisco dump truck Dallas. Dallas has a point differential of plus 168, which is just crazy. But San Francisco's got plus 163. Dallas, when you look at their schedule and what's remaining, obviously a big game against the Eagles, then the Bills, then the Dolphins, then the Lions, then the Commanders. They have got somewhat of a juggernaut when it comes to the remainder of their schedule. Meanwhile, San Francisco and what the 49ers have to offer, they've got Seattle, the Cardinals, the Ravens, the Commanders, the Rams. So they have a little bit easier schedule to go down the stretch. So Dak, if Dak plays well and say 3 out of those 4 tough games remaining, because the Washington Commanders will be pretty much done by that point. And Dallas still may have something to play for on the last day of the season. So you should get Dak's best shot. I would assume, you're probably right that the script isn't written completely yet because of the tough 4-game stretch that the Cowboys have coming up. And Dak typically has not played well against these top teams. So the Eagles defense is not what it was last year, but I still think the Eagles have the ability to go into Dallas and get a win. I just do. And how much credit do you give Mike McCarthy? Remember,
so much.
Because, I mean, and nobody wants to, not here, but McCarthy blew out his play caller last year. Said, look, if I'm going down, I'm going down my way. And Dak didn't look good at the end of the season. There was a lot of questions, still making the turnovers, had a horrible season last year. And then Mike McCarthy said, I'm done. I'm taking it back over. And it has been magnificent. Now, against San Francisco, ass kicking. But it's been magnificent. This might be one of McCarthy's best coaching jobs. So but still, I look at Brock Purdy's numbers. I'm like, how do you not make Brock Purdy the MVP? If you're strictly going to make it a statistical based type of award, how do you not look at that and say that Brock Purdy is the best by far? Now, here's the other thing. When it comes to the statistics, and I go back to Tyreek Hill, when you've got the receiving yards at 1,481 yards by Tyreek Hill, I mean, he's like 300 yards more than anybody else. By the way, CeeDee Lamb has 1,182. He's the second highest yard getter in the National Football League, playing with Dak Prescott. But how do you not consider Tyreek Hill, who has 12 touchdowns on the season, leads everybody in touchdowns, leads everybody in yardage. He doesn't even lead everybody in targets. That's the thing. He's averaging 123.4 yards per game by himself. Tyreek Hill has to be into that consideration. Has to, in my opinion. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, do it. Love to hear from you. And if you got a thought on this, give it. Scott says, hey, Bill, you're not taking into consideration that Dak Prescott has turned around. Yeah, we kind of talked about that Mike McCarthy's turned around his season this year from where he was last year. But you're not basing it off of your numbers from last year. You're basing it on your most valuable assets this season. That's like when people got so upset because how do you take Georgia out of the top 4? They've won 23 straight. Well, this team didn't. This team got beat in the conference championship. They're 12-1. This team this year, that's what you rate them on. You don't rate them on what they've done over the last 2 or 3 years. You just don't. You can say the stamina of the program and the ability to have consistent winning, yeah, that can sway you a little bit if all things are equal. But I don't give a team a break because they won it 2 years ago or they had a win streak coming into this season. It doesn't matter to me. You got to base it upon this year. If you want to put it this way, you want to base it upon last year, Brock Purdy wins it. Brock Purdy wins it. That team was garbage. And then they bring in McCaffrey. Then they bring in Brock Purdy takes over. And you saw what this team was without Brock Purdy against Philadelphia in an NFC Championship game. They didn't stand a chance, right? Look at what Brock Purdy then brought to the team. Brock Purdy dump trucked Dallas. They dump trucked Philadelphia. How do you ignore that? Somebody convince me. 877-867-1670. The Nooner says, absolutely, we owe Sean Payton an apology. He was dead on with Nathaniel Hackett. And how bad does this make Aaron Rodgers look when he wants everybody to keep his guys' names out of their mouths, but yet everybody Aaron Rodgers has brought in is either let go, doesn't produce, or is drawing the ire of fans. Look, he loved Nathaniel Hackett, brought Nathaniel Hackett in. There's a comfort level there. It works with Aaron Rodgers. It probably doesn't work with anybody else. That's the evidence. Luke Getsy, quarterback coach, offensive play caller or offensive coordinator, setup guy during the week, whatever. Going to grab that. He worked with Aaron Rodgers. Bring him down. We're going to make Justin Fields a better quarterback. Failure. That hasn't happened. Aaron Rodgers has surrounded himself with guys that he likes, that gives him comfort. And quite frankly, yes, man. Yes, man. He liked Tom Clemens because Tom Clemens challenged him. He didn't like Mike McCarthy because Mike McCarthy wanted it Mike McCarthy's way. He liked Matt LaFleur because in the beginning, Matt LaFleur did everything he could to kiss his ass and then kind of gradually lost the control over that circumstance with Aaron Rodgers. But everybody Aaron Rodgers wanted, he's gotten, and they don't produce worth a damn. Not at all. But that's, again, ripping the Band-Aid off of an old wound. So.
Did you see, and I know like Cowherd's a blowhard. I just really like sports radio, so I typically listen to what he has to say every day. He led yesterday by talking about Aaron Rodgers. I got to send you the clip, Bill. And he didn't tell any lies. He didn't say anything that wasn't true. He went after Aaron Rodgers and basically said, look at the Packers quietly going about their business, winning. Mike McCarthy quietly going about his business in Dallas, winning. Yep. I'll have to send you the clip because he kind of barbecued Aaron Rodgers.
No, if you find it, play it. We'll take a listen to it. Put it on the air. We don't care.
I like that.
Yeah, put it on the air. Let's take a listen to it. We'll do that. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ho, 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 I need a window.
Baby, it's cold outside.
So where do I go? Ho, ho.
Come on, Santa. Go to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Now is the time to replace your leaky windows and doors. You and Mrs. Claus can get your new windows while putting no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. Unwrap this gift now, but pay for it later.
More jingle that stays in my pocket.
That's right, Santa. Plus, our elves install year-round and in as little as 1 day. Pella offers lines in luxurious wood to fiberglass and vinyl.
Why not make a New Year's resolution today?
That's the spirit, Santa.
Hella no, pay later.
Absolutely. Put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. But you have to hurry. Offer ends December 31st. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 12/31/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Yes, Mark, yes. Going to be there tomorrow night at Smoke on the Water on Okachi Lake. They have the Okachi Christmas tomorrow night, raising money for Fisher House, Wisconsin, for military members, their families, and veterans. So we're going to be out there tomorrow. And tomorrow night, they've got music tomorrow night, the concert tomorrow night, and the concert on Saturday. You can pick a night. But with your ticket, you get some beverages, you get some food, a lot of fun. We're bringing, like I said, I think like 17, 18 people tomorrow night. We're going to have a party of our own. But come on out. Smoke on the Water, Okachi Lake. Tomorrow, we're going to be there. Hopefully, you are as well. So I'm not a huge Cowherd fan. And I haven't heard this. But this goes along the lines of we were talking about Sean Payton and what he said about Nathaniel Hackett. And we thought, boy, that's dastardly. Now, you don't do that. It is considered classless to do what Sean Payton did. I understand why he did it. He was deflecting any blame from his team, putting it on last year's, it kind of resetting, so to speak. But the way he went about it from point A to point B sucked. You don't do that. However, he's looking more right because of what he's doing, the reclamation project he has in Denver versus the absolute positive train wreck that they have in New York right now for the Jets. And then when you talk about the personnel and what Aaron Rodgers has demanded since when he was here and when he left, take a listen to Colin Cowherd. I have not heard this. This is what he had to say about Aaron Rodgers.
So Diana Rossini broke the story that Zach Wilson was asked to play, and he didn't want to play. The kid from BYU, the quarterback, it hasn't worked. We don't need to go into details on that. It hasn't worked. So he was asked to play after he was benched, and he's like, I don't want to play. And the Jets are freaking out. Who's leaking it? Where's it coming from? And Diana Rossini is doubling down on her report on the Michael Kay show in New York. Aaron wanted all the power, all the attention, all the leverage, all his guys. He got it, and it's a remarkable mess. Green Bay's just humming along, and so is Mike McCarthy. You know, it's been interesting to watch Aaron, who I was very critical of early, but I did acknowledge I liked him better than Favre, and he's one of the great throwers of the football up there with Dan Marino and Joe Montana I've ever seen. Then he got a little weird. Sometimes guys do. They're older, never married, no kids, not even sure he has a dog. It's all about him. I've seen other guys like that. Gets richer and richer. little stranger. He views himself now as an oracle, a truth teller, above cliched narratives of the media or the government, above mandates, above vaccines, not beholden to structure or norms of society like the rest of us mere mortals. He is a prophet, a guru. Well, here's a cold, hard truth. Green Bay is laughing this morning. Brian Gutekunst is probably texting Joe Douglas, welcome to my world.
There you go. There you go. And there is nothing there I can disagree with.
It's funny.
There is nothing there I can disagree with. 100%. Bryce says, who is Diana Rossini? Diana Rossini was with ESPN for a while. She's been a longtime NFL reporter, was with the ESPN, and she was part of the cuts. Why they let her go and kept Kimberly Martin, I have no idea. I mean, I think I have an idea, but I have no idea. Because Kimberly Martin is garbage. But Diana Rossini, very credible, has been for a very long time. Now writes for The Athletic, works in New York, and she's the one that broke the story. She's always been kind of, it's funny because Diana Rossini broke the story. When she was with ESPN, she was the most credible NFL expert there was, which I found ridiculous, but that's the way they promoted her. Then the minute she breaks the story, well, let's see what Kmart has to say. And she refutes stuff, and, you know, she's an idiot. But Diana Rossini, I trust her. And it could have been a comment about Zach Wilson that he just said, oh, God, do I want to go through this again? You know, type of making, you know, kind of a light of a moment when he's being told he's the starter. But, Robert, did we hear from Zach Wilson at all yesterday, by the way?
So I wasn't exactly looking for it. I figured if he said anything completely nuts, I would have seen it. I'll go check. But typically quarterbacks speak on Wednesday. The only reason that Jordan Love didn't speak is because they're Monday Night Football. So
he'll talk today. But that's my question is Robert Saleh was all over it. You know, he's excited. When he was told, you know, he's going to be back under center, he's pumped. He's excited. He's thrilled at the opportunity. Blah, blah, blah. You know. And no, that was never said. And then the Jets are all denying it now. When in reality, somebody said it. People rip reporters for this stuff. Now, we did have a sideline reporter that said they made things up, but it was very generic stuff. You never made up a sensational headline. You just never did that. You don't do that. No reporter, nobody ever that I know that's got, you know, loaded credibility has ever just made up a sensationalistic, you know, story just to make it up. You know, you like a sideline reporter may say, the key is here to try to create a couple of turnovers and keep the quarterback upright, you know, and that's what they're going to attempt to do here in the second half. Well, okay, every coach says that. Oh, all right, no problem. But nobody would make up the headline and say Zach Wilson doesn't want to go back under center and doesn't want to go through this again as the New York Jets starting quarterback. You know? But anyway. But yeah, Colin Cowherd nailed it. I give him some credit there. And like I said, Colin Cowherd at times just seems, he says things and it's like out of touch. It's like, where would you get that? But in this particular case, I don't think anybody needs to have a close-up view or a helicopter view to understand what's gone on. And with Aaron Rodgers putting himself out there on the McAfee show every week in his way, it's there for the world to judge, not just those behind closed doors or those that cover the team on a daily.
And I know Cowherd mentioned the vaccine, and I don't care how anyone feels about the vaccine. It's just an example of how Rodgers like, well, I am smarter. I am different. I do things my way. Right. And again, if it wasn't for the vaccine, it probably would have been something else. If it's not something with Rodgers, it's something else. Yeah. He's always showing that it's his way, it's better. And I honestly think that made it harder to win football games sometimes.
Yep.
Not all the time, but sometimes.
Yep. I completely agree. Aaron was always a deep thinker. Even when the first day I met him during the rookie symposium, going back years and years ago, he just morphed into something that he's got a lot of good qualities to him too. That's the shame of it. But he's morphed into kind of a condescending, Jerk. He just did. I don't know how else to put it. He just did. And then the things that he gets, it's funny because the things that he gets mad over are the things that he does. He's like one of the biggest, most outspoken hypocrites ever. And then if you question him about it, he gets pissed at you. So, yeah, I mean, it's like, look, not our monkeys, not our circus. You know, the old saying. I'm Jeff says, Jeff is a buddy of mine, and he's listening down in Alabama. He says, aren't you glad you don't have Rodgers around anymore? Or was he huge ratings? Both. I'll be perfectly honest with you, both. Aaron Rodgers was always huge ratings. He was listenable. You couldn't wait for something crazy to come out of his mouth or something biting or what have you. But also he was exhausting. He was exhausting. Yeah. Yeah, he was exhausting. And this, I'll be honest, this is like, it's weird. When we start to talk about Rodgers and you start to hear stuff from the outside that people are saying, like Colin Cowherd, Grant, I don't know about you, but I get this feeling of this is like heavy exhausting. This is PTSD for what we went through for so long. With every day, it was something else. And, you know, now he's mad at somebody spilling the beans behind closed doors in the New York Jets organization. And then, well, if we're in it, I'll come back. But if we're not, then either you're going to play or you're not. And total disregard to the guys that are out there giving the blood, sweat, and tears every day. And, and he's pontificating from the pedestal that he's put himself on as if he's the savior. And it really does. It brings back almost like a PTSD of this is just such crap.
Well, and you could probably speak to this. You've done this for a long time, Bill. You've seen many different teams in different leagues. It's hard to win and win at the highest level when you're really noisy. When your team constantly has stories coming out, there's constantly something going on. It's just not a great environment for winning every single week. You want to be quiet. You want to be a streamline. Well, Rodgers said it. He said, this is not something a winning organization does. We don't leak things like this. We don't have stories like this. I was like, well, that's why the Jets don't win.
Correct me if I'm wrong. All the stories came out, all the behind the scenes stuff came out in the Bleacher Report article after Mike McCarthy was fired. And people behind
that was the Tyler Dunne story.
Yeah, exactly. People behind the scenes were saying, and Aaron was one of them. That were giving little jabs here and there, that were giving a little, insight to the young guys who he knew that would get out. Aaron was one. That's what I'm saying. He's the biggest hypocrite walking the face of the earth. He just is. Let's do this. We're going to talk Packers football. Andy Herman of the Pack a Day podcast is going to join us when we come back. So I'm looking forward to that. And we'll talk about this possibility for a contract extension for Jordan Love. We'll talk about where this team has kind of flipped the switch over the last 3-4 weeks. We'll get into that discussion and the expectations now for this team moving forward going into the Monday night game. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
It's a classic Okachi Christmas coming up this weekend. And it benefits Fisher House, Wisconsin. Can't say thanks enough to Joe Hennis and Ellen Hennis at Smoke on the Water Okachi. It's out there on Wisconsin Avenue on Okachi Lake. It's going to be a great night tomorrow night and coming up on Saturday night as well. They've got music, Christmas carols, rock music, food, beverages, all for one price. And it's going to be a lot of fun, We'll be there tomorrow night, and then they're going to have some other people coming in and a different crowd on Saturday night. But if you can make it, please spread the word, bring some friends. It's going to be a holiday cheer-filled event, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So just find them over on Facebook and just, smoke on the water BBQ Okachi, or just, give them a call. Tell them you want to get some tickets. You can find it Okachi Christmas 23 at Eventbrite. So if you go to okachichristmas23.eventbrite.com, you can buy tickets right now. But there's food, there's drinks, there's music, Christmas carols, rock music, all that kind of good stuff. And it benefits Fisher House, Wisconsin. So please, 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 if you can make it, come on out and join us. We're going to have a good time. Andy Herman of the Pack a Day Podcast joining us over on the hotline now. Andy, how you been, pal?
Hey, Bill, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Let's start off with the switch that has been flipped. What have you seen over, say, 4 weeks ago versus where we are today?
Yeah, it seems unreal. It looks like a totally different team playing football than the team that was making so many kind of mistakes and just kind of beating themselves over that early part of the season, whether it was Jordan Love trying to take snaps from center and the ball's not being snapped, whether it was three guys waiting for the running back in the backfield, or guys just having pre-snap penalties all over the place. And all of a sudden you see a team that looks motivated. They look hungry. I think as kind of lame and boring as this might sound, I think just getting that win in the win column against the Rams just kind of got this team going in the right direction. They desperately needed to feel the taste of victory again. Yes, it was Brett Rippon. Yes, the Rams did not play particularly well that day, but I think just kind of getting them going in the right direction with that game. They go into Pittsburgh following that. They play an extremely competitive game of football. Yes, you have the 200 yards allowed, and Green Bay's going to have to learn from that game going into the Giants game this week. But I think they had a lot of things on offense that were repeatable that they took away from that game. And all of a sudden you go and you face the Chargers and Justin Herbert. You pick up that win. You pick up the win against Detroit. You pick up the win against Kansas City. And it's just that little bit of momentum that they needed. And you've got a team that I think is somewhat inexperienced to the point of like they don't know any better. Sometimes they don't know that they're not supposed to beat Patrick Mahomes at home or the Lions on the road on Thanksgiving Day. And there's just a ton of confidence. And you saw, I don't know if you saw Kenyon Drake, what he said to Justina Anderson, but he's like, he came in, this is a veteran running back. And he's like, I could immediately feel the energy of this team. They're competing. There's a legacy here. They're building something special. Like that's his first day walking into that practice with those players. And there is just a fun energy and vibe surrounding this team right now.
I want to ask you about Jordan Love specifically, because now they have decisions, and moving forward, it looks like the more he does, and if he continues to play this way, he's got a contract waiting for him at the end of the season. 4 good games, 2 really good games, 8 bad games. You tell me what your thoughts are on Jordan Love thus far.
Yeah, I think we're seeing Jordan Love grow in real time, learn in real time, and as of late, it's been exponential. It's funny because I go back to training camp, and a lot of the things that I saw from Jordan in training camp are translating now, and I thought actually started to translate at the beginning of the season. You go against Chicago, you go against Atlanta for those first 3 quarters. He had the pass protection. He was going through his progressions. The accuracy wasn't always there. You could see a little bit of the jitters still and him kind of getting his feet underneath him, literally and figuratively. But I thought you saw a quarterback that was kind of putting things together. Fast forward a couple weeks against Detroit in that week 4 game, and Detroit got pressure on him early. And this was the first time that he had to sort of adjust his clock because the team was getting there against him with pressure early and often, and he didn't adjust great. He was kind of continuing to go through his progressions, trying to get those big plays down the field, and wasn't just taking some of the underneath stuff that he needed to take. And then I think as a young quarterback is off to do in those situations, they kind of adjust their clocks a little bit too quickly. And all of a sudden you saw Jordan taking maybe a few too many checkdowns or maybe kind of getting the ball out of his hands too quickly. And then as the time went on, and maybe after a few mistakes, he sort of kind of readjusted and the offensive line played better. The receivers starting to get it open a little bit more. And you saw this kind of rhythm pick up with Jordan. And he kind of got back to doing some of the things he was doing very early in the season and in training camp. But now with accuracy, with a receiver group that's getting open, and everything just sort of came together at the right time. And now you've got this proof of concept of, and you could go back to the Chargers in Detroit and say, well, those are not great defenses, and you could caveat it all you want. But then you get to this Chiefs game, who has one of the best defenses in football, Sunday Night Football, huge game, and he just torches that defense all throughout the game. And I think, again, you can see proof of concept now, and it's all coming together at the right time.
So at the end of the season, if it stays the way it is, what do you expect Jordan Love to be approached with contract-wise, if at all?
Yeah, no, I definitely think he's going to be approached from a contract standpoint. And as far as what that number ends up being, it's going to be big, and it's going to be probably something long-term. I'm sure Goody and Russ Ball are going to do everything they can to still give themselves, some outs in that contract, if at all possible, just because you never want to get into a Daniel Jones situation. And I'm not saying Jordan's ever going to turn into a Daniel Jones quarterback, but you just always want to try to protect yourself as much as possible. But you just go back to, this is a quarterback that they traded up for in the draft when they had Aaron Rodgers. They develop him. They jettison Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. They make him the starter. And then you see, again, what he's been able to do, especially over these past few weeks. They're not going to look for reasons to get rid of him. If anything, they're going to look for reasons to keep him. And what he just showed on a national spotlight over the course of the past couple of weeks is that he can do this, and they have everything that they need now to say, all right, there might be some hiccups along the way still. They might need to give them a little bit of a better running game or maybe a different weapon here or there from time to time, maybe a little bit better offensive line. But if he has the right conditions, regardless of what defense he's going against, he can do this at a very high level. So I expect it to be a contract. I expect it to be a big contract, but I think they'll try as best they can to leave themselves any sort of outs that they can.
How big of a stretch is this? Because the expectation now, I would assume for everybody is this team should be able to make the postseason. Whether it's 9 or 10 wins, most likely they're going to be there. If they don't end up in the postseason, how disappointing from where we were to where we are to where we will be would it be if they are not there?
It's so interesting to see how the dynamic changes week to week and through different, areas of the season. If you would have said, a few weeks ago that this would be now a disappointing season if they all ultimately didn't make the playoffs, it would seem crazy, but it's legitimately true. And I think this is the next challenge for a really young and still very volatile team that I'm sure is still going to have some hiccups over the course of the next 5 games. But they are now in a position where they hold the 7th seed. They have the easiest remaining schedule in football. Their opponents are 20-40 on the season, losing double the games that they've won. And every single one of those games is winnable. And if nothing else, you have to view, like the Chicago game and the Panther game, like those two are almost like gimmies right there for you if you want to take them. And if you go 3-2, you're looking at like an 80 to 90% chance that you're in the playoffs, just depending on which those two losses are to. And if you're 4-1, 5-0, you're absolutely in. So this is a new challenge for this team. They're now going to be the ones that are going to have a little bit of expectations on them. And I think it's just making sure that they don't take their foot off the gas, because if this team plays anything like they did against Detroit and KC, this team is going to go at least 4-1 the remainder of the season. If they take the foot off the gas a little bit, start making the same mistakes, because listen, Green Bay's biggest losses have not been to the Broncos or they beat themselves in the vast majority of those games. So if they can avoid doing that against some bad football teams coming up, 4-1 or at minimum 3-2 should be the barometer, and it should kind of get them in the playoffs from there.
I like the way Matt LaFleur has been calling games. You go back to the game against Detroit. You look at the game, obviously, this past week against Kansas City. There's a lot more motion, more movement. There's some aggressiveness. Does it go back to kind of, when he said, hey, he's just got to rip it, let it go? Does it go back to that he just kind of took I don't want to say the training wheels off the offense, because we know Matt LaFleur hates that, but it looks like that's what he did.
Yeah, a little bit. You can definitely tell he put a little bit more on Jordan's plate with all the checks that were there at the line of scrimmage for him this week. I think the big thing is we've seen this from time to time from Matt before, and you see all this motion. You saw it a little bit against Chicago too, where he really got into his bag. They were using so many different formations, so much motion, and it just looked like this beautiful game plan. And then all of a sudden you'll get to games where it's very static and he doesn't use any of it. And it's just really interesting and weird to kind of see that. What I love this week is you mentioned the motion, not only the motion, but the different formations. You saw a 4x1 where they're faking a pitch and going back to the other side, the extra offensive lineman play action that gets 2 tight ends wide open in the end zone. Those are the things that are really, really fun. But not only the formation, not only the schemes that he's joined up, but the personnel packages as well. Every single eligible player on offense, not named Sean Clifford, got in that game for Green Bay. Royce Newman's used as an extra offensive lineman. They're rotating in Sean Ryan and Yash Nyman. They have obviously their entire group of running backs play, their entire group of wide receivers, all their tight ends, their fullback. Everyone got in the game. And what I've really enjoyed going back for the 3-4 weeks now is it really feels like they have a vision of how to use all these players. They're not just putting players out there and saying, go do this. They have a specific plan for what Christian Watson does well, and Jaden Reed, and Dontavian Wicks, and Romeo Doubs. They're putting all these players in positions to be successful, and that's what gives me maybe the most confidence moving forward that this team might have found something that is peaking at the right time.
So moving forward, they should win in New York. Is there a game that you would say this is going to be the game that's going to maybe determine how good they are down the stretch? Is it the Vikings game? Is it when Tampa Bay comes to town? What game do you think is a good test for them here on out? And then if they're victorious there, and to me, I look at it as US Bank Stadium, the rivalry game, the Vikings are still decent. They're still fighting for something as well. That game, that then would maybe clinch our determination as to which direction the organization should be going at the end of the season.
Yeah, there's a few of them. I think you mentioned one of them, the Vikings game. That to me, because you beat the Vikings, that's the one team that is also kind of in the playoff picture with you, and you beat them. I guess Tampa Bay to some extent, but you beat the Vikings, and it just makes your playoff probability go up exponentially. So that's a big one. And we know that Minnesota can always be a tough place to play. I'm sure they're going to be a little bit of a better team with Justin Jefferson when he gets back. So that's definitely one of them. I agree with you that I think they should expect to win this game. This first one in New York feels important to me because it feels like this is like you just got through like the meat of your schedule, and now you're kind of turning the page to these kind of 5 easier or at least winnable opponents. And it feels like if you can just kind of keep the gas going and keep the pressure on and do everything that you've been doing and don't just sort of take it for granted that, all right, you beat the Chargers, the Lions, and the Chiefs, and the Giants should be easy in comparison. There's a Giants team that's coming off of over 2 weeks rest with the bye the week before and now a Monday Night Football game. Like, they're going to probably be a little bit rusted, and I'm sure they scouted Green Bay to death and are going to have some plans in place to try to get a victory here. I think if you get past this first one and keep that momentum going, you then get a home game against Tampa. Baker's played, I think, in December at Lambeau the past couple of years, and it's gone brutally terrible. Like, the Panthers should be a gimme. And then you racked up hopefully 3 wins with only 2 games to go. And then last but not least, really quickly, the last one that I'd look at is, what if they do get into the exact same scenario that they got into last year, where it's the final week of the season and it's win and you're in? And last year we knew they played the Lions team, a much better team than they play in the Bears this year. But the Lions didn't have anything to play for, and they let that opportunity slip through their hands. Can they learn from that a season ago and beat the Bears this year if they do have a win and you're in opportunity?
Real quick, give me your thoughts on the defense, Joe Barry. Now, granted, the chapter has not finished and been completed for this season, but has he done enough to kind of save his job and really quiet the critics?
I think the first part, yes. I think he's done enough to save his job. I don't think he's done enough to quiet his critics. I do think there's things that you can still nitpick at. There's some moments where you still want to kind of put your head through the wall with what's called in certain situations and circumstances, but the overall results have been pretty positive, especially over the course of the past few weeks. So I think he keeps his job. I don't think the critics are silenced quite yet.
Yeah, no doubt. Andy, great stuff as always, pal. We certainly appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Can't wait. Thanks so much, Bill.
Thanks, bud. Talk to you. There you go. Andy Herman, Pack a Day Podcast. You can follow Andy at Andy Herman NFL on Twitter, on X, at Andy Herman NFL, and always has really good stuff. Always has really, really, really good stuff. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We got a lot more to get to this portion of the program. Brought to you by our friends who have some music going on this weekend as well. On Saturday night, they got some bands over at Steel Tank Brewing and over at Rally Point. The new big music venue has opened now. Not only do they have terrific food, but they got music there as well. So if you're looking for a good night out, and say Friday night, you're going to join us over at Smoke on the Water. Well, then Saturday night, you got music at Steel Tank Brewing and at Rally Point. Great stuff. Robrook Lane and Oconomowoc, right behind the Exonia Bank off of 67. And their food is fantastic. Stop over and tell Dave and everybody that we said hello, but more so than anything, enjoy yourself because it's worth it.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ho, 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 I need a window.
Baby, it's cold outside.
So where do I go? Ho, ho.
Come on, Santa. Go to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Now is the time to replace your leaky windows and doors. You and Mrs. Claus can get your new windows while putting no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. Unwrap this gift now, but pay for it later.
More jingle that stays in my pocket.
That's right, Santa. Plus, our elves install year-round and in as little as 1 day. Pella offers lines in luxurious wood to fiberglass and vinyl.
Why not make a New Year's resolution today?
That's the spirit, Santa.
Hella no, pay later.
Absolutely. Put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. But you have to hurry. Offer ends December 31st. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 12/31/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Yeah, we do. Bill Michaels Show. Good stuff from Andy Herman. Hey, coming up here in just a few minutes, stay tuned. We got Paul Charchian's going to be joining us. If you have a fantasy football question, get it in now. Get it in now. And I know a couple of you have already sent them over to me, but get it in now because I know this might be the time that you need it most. And give us an either or 1 out of 3. Don't give me like 3 out of 5 or something like that. Just, give me an either or whatever. If you got to start a quarterback or wide receiver, what have you, go ahead and shoot it over to us. And we'll try to get as many questions as we can over to Paul Charchian. So good stuff. Dan, good morning to you. Everybody over on the live stream as well that's going back and forth. Pete and Rick and Timothy and everybody that's over there. How are you doing? Hopefully you guys are having a great day. And girls, for that matter. I know Mary and some of the other names are over there. This is from Tim. Tim says, great stuff with Andy Herman. Everybody seems to believe it's going to be a huge payday for Jordan Love. Do you think that Jordan Love is going to be looking for that? Of course he is. There is, he says, do you think he's going to be looking for that? Or do you think he's going to understand the ramifications of a big contract on the organization and how they're not going to be able to afford talent around him? Nope. Nope. I'm sorry. He may say, look, I don't need $250 million. I'll take 230. But no. And quite honestly, if I'm the organization, I don't want to insult him, but I'm also not going over the top. Not with the first off. It's like, look, this is what we're thinking of doing. Give us your thoughts. And they're going to always want more, and you're going to want less, and you got to fall somewhere in between. You cannot jump back into the fire monetarily. And how many teams have we seen where they have young guys under young contracts? They way overpay, and then they don't have that same level of success. The first person to do it is Patrick Mahomes, to win a Super Bowl this year, making more than 13.5% of his team's total salary cap. The first quarterback in the history of the salary cap to ever win, making more than 13.5% of your team's total salary cap. And he's a bona fide superstar. I just don't want to see the Packers approach that number. Not with a guy that's got 4 good wins under his belt. Look, I'm not going to sit here and knock Jordan Love. What I'm saying is it's the unknown and the unproven. You got to figure out a happy medium. You have to. You can't jump into that and go, oh, we're all in, here we go, and then expect to be able to go out and afford guys to be able to, because we all know what it's about. You've seen it now. I've been here since 99. I watched a lot of bad football in Cincinnati for years. Overpaid bad players. And never wanted to cut them loose. They never wanted dead money. There's got to be a happy medium. Okay. That being said, time now to get your fantasy football questions in if you haven't already. The Charge, Paul Charchian, he's going to join us coming up next. Stick around for that. Also, don't forget, if you are looking for a nice gift idea and you're out in the La Crosse area, maybe you want to send somebody a gift card from our friends at Big Boar Barbecue. Big Boar Barbecue right there in West Salem. That is a terrific place to go and eat. Very family friendly, family owned, lunches, dinners, catering as well. Check out our friends at BigBoarBBQ.com. That's BigBoarBBQ.com. Charge next on the Bill Michaels Show.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Bucks are in the semifinals of the NBA's first in-season tournament. That's after taking down the Knicks last night, 146-122. New York came into the game with the best scoring defense in the NBA, but Milwaukee topped that average by 41 points. It included 35 from Giannis, 28 from Damian Lillard. There was some happiness afterwards. Coach Adrian Griffin said the job is not finished.
Tonight was a, huge step. We wanted to get to Vegas, but, when we get to Vegas, we got to take care of business. We got 2 games to win there. Celebrate tonight. I thought we played an outstanding game. Give credit to the Knicks that, they were tough-minded group, well-coached group. But I thought tonight our team was the better team.
Bucks now move on, take on Indiana tomorrow in Las Vegas in the semifinals. Winner gets either Lakers or Pelicans in the finals. Every player on the winning team gets $500,000. Turning to Wisconsin, they also came up with a big win last night, going on the road to beat Michigan State 70-57. It was their 3rd straight win in East Lansing, something they hadn't done since the early 60s. Badgers have won 6 in a row overall and will now face number 1 Arizona on the road this Saturday.
Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Get insurance from a company who knows Wisconsin and cares about your community. You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer, but did you know they also offer competitive home and auto rates? Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more about products and discounts.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Packers have added a veteran running back to their backfield. Kenyon Drake was signed to the practice squad yesterday, while James Robinson was cut. This will be Drake's 4th team this year. He did run for 482 yards with the Ravens last year. Packers getting ready to face the Giants on Monday night on the road. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Kyle.
Welcome in, one and all. Good to have you. Thursday edition of the Bill Michaels Show. You know what Thursday means? You're creeping down the stretch here. The backside of your fantasy football season, probably the last regular week of your fantasy football season before you really start getting into hot and heavy postseason playoff talk. And joining us now on the hotline, your guy, the guru, the man, the myth, the legend from GuillotineLeagues.com. That's our buddy Paul Charchian. Charch, what's up, buddy?
Hey, I am talking to you from the bowels of Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. So I apologize. Hopefully the Wi-Fi is okay here. I can hear that my sound's a little echoey. So I'm at a desk against a wall, but hopefully all the technology is okay.
No, everything sounds good. You're clear as a bell. So first of all, explain what you're doing at Planet Hollywood.
Well, Vikings are playing the Raiders, and our station KFAN has sent a big contingent of the radio hosts over to Las Vegas for this, and we're doing some live shows. Our morning show's live tomorrow morning at Buffalo Wild Wings. Our midday show is live there, and so get this: they're opening the doors for our morning show tomorrow morning. They're opening the doors at 1:30 a.m. for a start time of 3:30 a.m. That show will run 3:30 to 7 a.m. And then my show will go 9 to 10 a.m. And we'll see how many of the people, the degenerates that showed up at 1:30 are still going to be there at 10 o'clock.
Wow.
At that point.
Well, it's the people that are looking for something to eat coming out of the casino that's been open 24/7 that are either winners or they're desperate to figure out how to get their last meal. One of the two. So you're gonna get all of that. You're gonna get all of that. So
we'll get the whole swath of humanity, all clad in purple, trying to get a very much needed win against the Raiders, because suddenly this wild card in the NFC has gotten very tight with the Vikings coming off 2 losses, one by 1 point, one by 2 point. Your team is surging. This is this wild card's a little bit tricky right now.
Let's start there for the fact that Dobbs is going to be the starter. Obviously, he comes back and he got off to a tremendous start and then hit a bump. Then they go into the break, but now they're in a tight race. And really, once you get to the lower echelon of the NFC, it's really much coin flips from here on out. So you tell me, from a fantasy standpoint, what is workable right now coming off of the Vikings organization? Is Dobbs the guy? You're going to be getting your wide receiver back in Justin Jefferson as well. Give me your thoughts there.
I think it's a little too early to say either way on Dobbs. If the problem has been the turnovers. He's been a turnover machine, fumbling, interceptions. The passing has not always been crisp, slow on his reads, but some of that is just getting thrust into a brand new scheme. So he's still got room to, I think, really be the starter for the rest of the year for the Vikings, if he can just stop turning the ball over. I mean, it's not a big ask, but that's going to be the pivoting thing for him. Now, getting Justin Jefferson back obviously would help any quarterback. And Jefferson hits the ground running here. 8 weeks off the hamstring injury. Bill, he's at full strength at this point, and the Raiders secondary is not great. It's not terrible, but it's not great. And it's a nice opportunity for him. TJ Hawkinson has been great with and without Dobbs. He continues to play well. He's very startable here. From a fantasy standpoint, Dobbs is fascinating because the running really does help. And this would be a very positive matchup if you could assure me that he's not going to throw an early pick and get benched, which is still in the possible range of outcomes for Josh Dobbs. So I think from a fantasy standpoint, it's a little dangerous on Dobbs, but he is a high upside play because he could run in a couple of touchdowns. He could throw a couple of touchdowns, maybe do both. The Raiders aren't great. So there's opportunity there.
Now talk to me about Jordan Love. And, some people had him as a starter. Some people had him as a backup. He was a sneaky pickup for many during the regular season. And now is he a must start?
I got to tell you, and this one hurts. I had an opportunity when Josh Dobbs was electric for the Vikings in those first 2 games, and Jordan Love wasn't on his 3-game winning streak right now that he's on and where he's played so well. Somebody offered me in a dynasty league. So this would have rolled over to next year, Josh Dobbs for Jordan Love.
Oof.
And at the time, Love's play was so inconsistent that I'm like, the Packers are, and the Packers had lost so many games. I'm like, you know what? The Packers heading to the top of the draft, they're going to take a quarterback. So I didn't do that deal. And it was a dumbass move. I got caught up in Dobbs mania. Oh, that hurts because the last 3 games, obviously, for Love have been terrific. Now, I thought last week that was going to be the one that really showed me what we've really got, because the Chargers, it was Chargers and Lions, right? That he had played and done very well against. Those are not great defenses. But Kansas City's defense had played fantastic. The secondary had been really, really good. And the fact that he had all the poise and now just, the arm talent looks so good. I'm really, really impressed with his development so far, and credit the Packers for just tenaciously sticking with him and putting him in a spot where he could eventually evolve to where he is now. So I like this matchup. He's my number 10 ranked quarterback. Jordan Love is this week. His 4 games with at least 3 touchdown passes and no interceptions, tied for the most by a quarterback in his first 13 career starts, going all the way back to 1950. So, really, the development's been fantastic. It's a neutral matchup against the Giants, but the beauty of playing the Giants is their offense is so bad and so one-dimensional with Saquon Barkley that if you shut him down, there's going to be a lot of short field opportunities for Jordan Love. I think he's still sitting on a nice game. Do we know if is Christian Watson going to go? Do we know?
We're waiting to find out what's up with him, and that's a good question, because if there's no Christian Watson, how much does that diminish him? And to the opposite side, if you got Saquon Barkley as one of your running backs, the Packers rush defense is ranked 30th in the National Football League. That's got to be a field day.
Yeah, it really could be for Barkley. And what we're learning, look at how devastating the Packers pass rush was in this last game, right? If you've got the opportunity to run the ball, you're going to do it against the Packers. So I do see a big workload coming for Barkley in this one.
And Pacheco had over 100.
And he looked good, man. That kid runs hard. I like that kid a lot. He's awfully good.
So let me take it another step in a different direction, and that is with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. They have not looked right for a while now. So, if you've got Patrick Mahomes and another quarterback, depending on who that may be, you can't say sit Patrick Mahomes, but you got to be scratching your head a little bit, right?
Well, the thing is, had you chosen to sit Patrick Mahomes for any of the last 5 games, you probably would have been better off just finding another starter. Here's how bad it is. Over the last 5 games, Bill, Patrick Mahomes is quarterback 21 in fantasy points. 21, right behind Baker Mayfield. And that's what I mean. He's still somebody you feel like you can never bench because what could happen. But the reality is you've probably been better off with your backup in any of the last 5 weeks. But here's the problem. So here's, try to dig into what's really gone wrong with Patrick Mahomes. Bill, during the Mahomes era, if I said just conjure up amazing deep pass highlights in your head, isn't Patrick Mahomes the first guy that comes to mind?
He's right up there, yeah, because of that or the improv. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because he always made his bones on
extending plays. Yeah. Right. Here's what he's done this year on deep passes, and I think this is staggering stats for you. So these are passes of at least 20 yards, which has been Patrick Mahomes' trademark plays. In completions this year, Patrick Mahomes ranks 20th. In completion percentage, he's 32nd on deep passes. In passer rating, he's 36th, which is dead last among qualified quarterbacks. And in touchdown to interception ratio, Patrick Mahomes, dead last. 1 touchdown, 6 picks on deep passes. This is what's wrong with Patrick Mahomes, because, where you could contain, in all the years past, you could contain Patrick Mahomes for so long, and then he zings you for 68 yards, and a touchdown. And, that's how you end up losing games. Without that, it's been a real problem for him. This week they get Buffalo. Get this. Buffalo giving up the shortest average pass in the league at 6.5 yards.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that matchup, to be honest with you. It's going to be an all-day affair of sitting down and watching football this coming weekend. You bring up real quick Baker Mayfield, and somebody had said, with the rise of Gardner Minshew, they've got both. Mm-hmm. Now, you bring up Baker Mayfield, but Minshew's actually found a little bit of a resurgence in Indianapolis. Do you start him?
Yeah, we're going to go with we're going to go with Gardner Minshew in this particular matchup. Mayfield's got Atlanta. That's a sneaky good pass defense. So yeah, we're going to try a little Gardner Minshew. Cincinnati is one of the things Cincinnati does. They give up some rushing to quarterbacks, and we've seen Gardner Minshew's got a little bit of wheels to him, including a rushing touchdown last week. I've got Minshew about 5 spots higher.
Yeah,
number 14 quarterback this week.
Good stuff. So then we move forward, and now you got to look at a young guy that I think a lot of people were questioning. That was C.J. Stroud, another guy that's getting an opportunity. He's going to win the Rookie of the Year. But we were talking about the top candidates for MVP. Stroud has to be considered, and how nobody's talking more about Brock Purdy and the numbers that he's putting up. Maybe it's because, as Grant said earlier, that it's the talent around him. But his numbers are so much better even than Dak Prescott's. Who's everybody's on the Dak Prescott bandwagon, but those three quarterbacks, man, they're just lighting it up.
They are. So Brock Purdy is now and Dak Prescott are tied for the highest odds to win MVP. I did not think Brock Purdy would be in this conversation, but let's credit him for where he's managed to get, because it's a remarkable evolution for Brock Purdy, we're not even into I don't even think we're into one full year of starting service for Brock Purdy. And here he is as the betting line favorite with Dak Prescott to win MVP. Unbelievable. CJ Stroud has dropped to 28-1. There's still a scenario. I mean, I'm in Las Vegas. I may bet CJ Stroud at those odds. If Houston makes a surge here down the stretch, and their schedule's pretty favorable, they could. CJ Stroud will get back into this conversation a little bit. But Dak Prescott worries me. He could, if he beats the Eagles this Sunday. Ooh, that might put Dak in the command position for MVP.
Before we look at tonight's game real quick, you've got the Lions, who struggled a couple of weeks ago with Chicago. Now this time they're down in Soldier Field, and the line is really weird. It's very close, and you would assume that the Lions would have been head and shoulders up above. Why is the line, in your opinion, so close in this? And what do you look at? Is it the run game you look at and the return of David Montgomery?
Well, these teams played 3 weeks ago, and the Bears had the Lions dead to rights, and it's only because of 2 gaffes at the end of the game that the Lions ended up coming back and winning. And what people don't realize, Bill, and it's troubling for your fan base and mine in Minnesota, Bears defense is becoming really, really good. So they're right now giving up the 5th fewest rushing yards per game, 2nd fewest yards per attempt. They rank number 2 in run stuff win rate. And, we know that the Lions love their running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. This is a tough matchup. No back has topped 76 rushing yards against them all year. The Bears only give up 64 rushing yards per game. I mean, they're going to have to try to win it through the air a little bit. Now, Gibbs and Montgomery were able to post decent games against Chicago when they met 3 weeks ago, but this is a very tough matchup. So, I think that's a lot of why it's so close is the massive improvements to the Bears defense, and then all the variables that come with Justin Fields. Right? Are we going to get the good Fields, the bad Fields, the guy who fumbles away games at the end, or the guy was able to keep it together and beat Minnesota a couple weeks ago?
Now, real quick, I know you got to run, but we got tonight's contest, which is just ugly. You don't have a starter in Pittsburgh with a high ankle sprain. He's out, and the offense is just ghastly and awful in New England. I don't even know how to put it. It's funny. I was spending the weekend over Thanksgiving with Kristen, and we went back to her home. We were in that area and sitting at a bar watching with New England fans that team. To listen to them, oh my God, it's just like burn it down. Just burn it down. It was just awful.
It's really bad. So tonight's game, Bailey Zappi versus Sad Trombone Ski. It's come to this, Bill. I mean, if there's ever a Thursday night to just find something else to do, I'm going to find something else to do. This is the one to skip right here. There is one guy I really like to start. Ezekiel Elliott. This is Ramondre Stevenson's out with a high ankle sprain, and the workload's going to be very, very high here. They can't let Bailey Zappi throw many passes. So over the past 3 weeks, New England ranks 5th in rushing attempts, 3rd in rushing yards per game. They're going to give Zeke a lot of work in this game, and he's the one guy that I think you could potentially start.
Yeah, no doubt. Charge, anything sleeper-wise or anything else you got before I let you go?
Well, yeah, but just to wrap this up, congrats on your nuptials, my man.
Thank you.
You're engaged. All right.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
We met Kristen. We love her. She seems fantastic. I'm really excited for you.
We got to get you guys either down this way or we got to get up that way to get a couple of nights out for sure. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would
look forward to it.
I would love that.
Look forward to it. Pal, have a great time in Vegas. Go ahead.
All right, we'll do. We'll talk to you next week. Okay,
all right, bud. Talk to you soon. There you go. That's our buddy Paul Chargian joining us on the hotline. And I know he's got to run. I'm sitting here after a quarter after, and I know he drives him nuts when I let him go much longer than that. By the way, I did get a question. Was it Mitchell or Edwards to start? And I'd asked Charge that, and he said Edwards would be the guy. Edwards is projected to hit over 9 points for you, so he would be the better play. And I think that was Wolfman or somebody that asked me that. So anyway, long story short, there you go. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Stick around. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ho, 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 I need a window.
Baby, it's cold outside.
So where do I go? Ho, ho.
Come on, Santa. Go to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Now is the time to replace your leaky windows and doors. You and Mrs. Claus can get your new windows while putting no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. Unwrap this gift now, but pay for it later.
More jingle that stays in my pocket.
That's right, Santa. Plus, our elves install year-round and in as little as 1 day. Pella offers lines in luxurious wood to fiberglass and vinyl.
Why not make a New Year's resolution today?
That's the spirit, Santa.
Hella no, pay later.
Absolutely. Put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. But you have to hurry. Offer ends December 31st. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 12/31/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Now, here's something, and I got to admit, I haven't studied all the ins and outs of this deal, but didn't LIV Golf join the PGA? Didn't they come to an agreement on joining one another? Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Grant.
It seems familiar. Yeah, it seems like something like that did happen. Golf isn't my main squeeze, but I feel like I remember that.
So, you know, the privately funded LIV Golf Tour has spent more than $3 billion funding the league in 2 years. In 2 years. Now, the framework for putting all of this together and merging these two was supposed to determine the future of the LIV Golf tournaments, which were struggling because nobody was really paying attention to them. They haven't really bought into them here in the States. It's generated good interest in like Australia, Singapore, Spain, some of the other countries and such, but it hasn't caught on here. And going back to June 6th, there was supposed to be an agreement that put all of this together, and they were supposed to sign this deal and the whole thing. And then the Justice Department got involved in it. It raised concerns on, as far as restricting competition and all that kind of. Well, today the announcement was made that Jon Rahm is leaving the PGA. He's going to the LIV Golf Tournament side. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what's the big deal? Because didn't they join forces? And apparently not. It's not done, I guess. But Jon Rahm, the Masters champion, and, it doesn't matter because he still can play in the Masters. He still can play in the majors, but he's leaving to go to the LIV Tour as well. Now, here in the States, we find our own populars to glom onto, and we'll find all of this. We'll be okay. But that's the big story today. The big breaking news story is that Jon Rahm is leaving to go to the LIV tournament and to go to the LIV side of things. But I just, it's just, golf has become extremely weird in the defection of players, the payment of players. The LIV Tour seems to be, they've got a never ending pit of money. So it's not like they're going to run out of money and just cancel it. But then they make an agreement with Monahan of the PGA Tour, and they were going to basically buy into one another. And now that deal is still not T's crossed and I's dotted. So I don't know what the hell's going on in golf right now. But if somebody's got a bet, this is where Ben Kenny used to be up on it because he's all golf all the time. But I have no idea. Not that it's overwhelmingly important, but just thought I'd throw it out there because that's the big news of the day.
I just sent him a text. I need this explained to me. So maybe I can kick him a little bit of retainer money or something for the service of the show. Really all this means is everything is going to continue to get worse. The PGA is going to get worse because now one of the best golfers is not playing there. You could argue 3 of the 5 best golfers now play for LIV, and still probably most people aren't going to watch LIV. So the PGA is getting worse. People still probably won't care about LIV. Golf as a whole gets worse. But I guess these guys are making more money. So
they're making gobs more money. The guaranteed money over there that they get, it's once you sign the contract, you're done for life. That's your I've signed for the rest of my life contract. It's just it's crazy. So my assumption is that LIV and the PGA are not going to finish this merger deal because there was a firm deadline to this that they're not going to finish this merger deal and they're going to continue operating the way they were. And we'll see what ends up happening when it comes to sponsorships and popularity and all that kind of stuff, I guess. But anyway, but LIV has a ton of money and players will go there and they'll sign a good portion of their life away to them as far as their playing life goes. And they'll make a ton. They'll set up their families the rest of their lives and their generational money. And there you go. So, but I don't know what that does for them here if they just don't care, you know? So, anyway, that being said, it's, that was the big news of the day, I guess, you know. 877-867-1670. Also, speaking of Vegas, when we had Paul Charchian on, the Pacers and the Bucks has the highest betting total on any NBA game since 1991. The over and under on the Packers-Bucks game, or the Pacers-Bucks game, I should say, Packers, is 257.5 as of early this morning. And they say that's more than any other game in more than 30 years and the highest NBA total since March 21st, 1991 between the Nuggets and the Golden State Warriors, which was a 259 betting line, according to ESPN Stats and Information. And the Pacers and the Bucks, as we all know, tip off 4 o'clock today. And barring any kind of a dramatic line movement, the total will be the 7th game since 1991 with an over-under total greater than 250. Think about that. So Pacers and Bucks combining for 250.7 points per game average entering today's contest, according to the Elias Sports Bureau. So the Bucks getting a little bit of run in Vegas as well. And oddly enough, the game is in Vegas as it's the semis for this in-season tournament that the Bucks are a part of. So the Bucks and the Pacers today will take on the winner of the Lakers and the Pelicans. And that game will then happen on Saturday night before they then resume the season fully. So there you go.
Before we take a break, I do have commentary from Ben Kenny. If you'd like it, I can read you his message.
Yes.
He said, so I texted him, and I didn't tell him I was going to read this on air. I said, I thought LIV and PGA merged. Did I dream that? And he says, merged was the wrong verbiage, a.k.a. poorly reported. Should have been, quote, made preliminary agreement to maybe take action down the road when X and X and X happen. So I guess.
So they're not merged.
So they said maybe one day we'll merge if this happens, but not right now.
So Monahan, I guess, gave them a deadline. They said, you don't give us deadlines. We don't care. The Justice Department got involved because of numerous reasons. And competitive reason is what they used as the excuse. But we all know there were some other sidebars to that. And so there you have it. So LIV and the PGA have not merged. And John Rahm is now leaving the PGA to go to the LIV. So there you go.
I'm also reading that Patrick Cantlay is now the voice of the PGA. And I'm not a golf guy, but that doesn't seem good. That does not seem ideal.
Nope. Good God. All right. On that note, there you go. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. A lot more to get to. Hang in there. More coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ho, 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 I need a window.
Baby, it's cold outside.
So where do I go? Ho, ho.
Come on, Santa. Go to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Now is the time to replace your leaky windows and doors. You and Mrs. Claus can get your new windows while putting no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. Unwrap this gift now, but pay for it later.
More jingle that stays in my pocket.
That's right, Santa. Plus, our elves install year-round and in as little as 1 day. Pella offers lines in luxurious wood to fiberglass and vinyl.
Why not make a New Year's resolution today?
That's the spirit, Santa.
Hella no, pay later.
Absolutely. Put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. But you have to hurry. Offer ends December 31st. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 12/31/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
What up? Phil Michaels Show on a Thursday. Good to go. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. I'm reading some of this stuff. We were talking about the LIV Golf tournament or LIV Golf Tour, and John Rahm has gone over to the LIV Golf Tour, and I was reading some of the comments, and I'm reading some of the commentary because I'm Googling some of this stuff, and some of the guys that were talking about how many purses they have won in the PGA Tour, and just an appearance check in the LIV Golf Tour has paid them more than like the multitude of purses that they have won. So look, the LIV Golf Tour just bought all the players. Period. The problem is it hasn't really caught on in the States. I think there's two parts to this. One is it's not the PGA. And we can look, the PGA will always be the PGA. And it's kind of like the USFL. We love football. We'll watch it, but it's not the NFL. Even if you put a lot of great players in the USFL, it's still not the NFL, right? That's kind of the way the LIV is. They're buying good players. They've got a tournament. They play a few tour tournament stops here in the States. But it's not considered us. It's not considered the United States, so to speak. And people have a turnoff to that. And then you throw into it the conspiracy theories and or stories and or rumors and or what you can and can't prove. I don't know. I don't claim to know, but I know that there is an anti-LIV Tour attachment via the 9/11 bombings and the tragedies that took place on that day. So there's feelings there. And then it is you're getting gobs of money to go to the Saudis, who for years controlled the oil flow within this country and dictated almost our economy because of gas, the needs for gas. So look, and then it's just, okay, go on, take the money. You'll still be a great player. You can play in the majors, but we're still going to have our tournaments. We're going to still have things that we like and do and love. And it's right here in our own backyard. Am I wrong on that, Grant? Am I looking at this thing prospectively different or incorrectly?
I don't know that it's an American thing. I think we watch golf because we like the Masters and we like the US Open, and there's a schedule to it. There's a rhythm to it that we follow. And yes, we love the golfers that play in those majors, but I like the majors and I like the schedule and I like the format. If you're telling me, hey, now I got to watch Tuesday night because they're doing some scramble or what, well, that's different. You know what I mean? That's different. So I don't know if it's just that they have the golfers. We know the courses and the format and the schedule. And I think that's as much of a hurdle to watching LIV as anything else.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And I don't know, eventually, if you get enough star power, there is going to be a major network that will pick it up. But the only way I think that the segregation happens. Now, you're not going to get, say, the Open Championship to ignore LIV golfers. But if you get the US Open, the Masters, and the PGA Championship, that doesn't allow, I don't care if you've won it or not, you're not a returning member. If you are not a part of the PGA Tour, you're done. Then if that changes, then you've got what's considered to be lawsuits and such, but that's when those private entities then have to stand up and say, no, we're not going to take you. It's our tournament. We can do what we want. And we don't have to, there's no law that says we have to take you. You've earned a right to get an invite, but we don't have to invite you. So I don't know. That's the only way at some point that you may see some golfers decide to stay with the PGA, because even though you can make a ton of money there, it's the prestige of winning some of those tournaments. Tell me a tournament that's on the LIV Tour that anybody gives two damns about. The world watches the Masters, the U.S. Open, the PGA, and the Open Championship. The world watches those 4. There is nothing that LIV can do that would be able to rival the majesty that is those. Nothing. So that's where the recognition really becomes high. So anyway, 877-867-1670. You can hit us up if you choose to do so. 877-867-1670. Got all kinds of stuff here. Who is this? This is from Forbes. Not Forbes the magazine. Forbes the emailer says working after hours late last night. Oh no, it was the huddle. Forbes, sorry man, it was the huddle. We were doing the huddle last night. So that's the reason we were on the air last night. This was from Josh, who said, I would not extend Joe Barry. I do not think he is getting the most out of our defense right now. With the talent that they have, we should be top 5 in defense. Joe Barry needs to go. That's from Josh. With the talent they have is the statement. I agree with you. They have areas of talent. Who should be considered elite on this team? Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark. Who else? Who would you consider elite with elite talent?
Elite, by the way, I think we should define that. I define elite as in the conversation for one of the best players at their position in the NFL.
Correct.
Is that fair?
Correct.
Maybe not the best, but they're up there in that conversation. So I would say Gary and Clark are fair.
Rashawn Gary, would he be top 5 in the National Football League? There's Micah Parsons, Bosa, TJ Watt, Max Crosby, and then Rashawn Gary? Will we go with that?
That's fair. I think say those one more time.
You can pretty much mix them up, but you would say a guy like Bosa, TJ Watt, Micah Parsons, Max Crosby, and then Rashawn Gary.
Myles Garrett in there too, but I think that's about everybody. Yeah, that's pretty close probably.
Yeah. Jair Alexander, he has not played elite for a couple of years. So no, I'm not going to put him in there. He's making a ton of money. He didn't have the year you wanted him to last year. He was banged up. This year he's been banged up.
What's the best ability, Bill? The best ability is availability. Jair hasn't been playing.
Yep. He hasn't been playing. So you can't get the talent out of him because he's not on the field. Kenny Clark, when you talk about nose tackles and defensive tackles in the National Football League, his name is always mentioned. So where else is elite? When you look at middle linebackers, do you look at Quay Walker? Is he top 5? That's the argument, is that Joe Barry's not getting enough out of the talent. And my question is, what is the level of talent? I'm not arguing with you to say you're wrong. I'm just saying, when you say that, you got to say, because such and such is underperforming. Devondre Campbell's not being used properly. Preston Smith is nowhere near what he used to be. But, Devontae Wyatt hasn't progressed his second year. The young guys haven't developed, but Ballantyne and Valentine have both played pretty well in spot starts. And Gabari, I think, has played up to the potential of his talent. He never came in as a highly touted, middle linebacker or outside linebacker for that matter. So where is the level of talent as what it should be? Now, people will say you've got 8-9 guys that are first-round draft choices. Come on, you should have a top 5 defense. Well, then that has to be the equivocal factor to Brian Gutekunst and what he's drafting and putting together, and then the health and the totality of those guys all playing together. You can't say be a top 5 defense, but oh, by the way, your entire secondary is out and you're running with backups. And your best outside linebacker, pass rusher, was on a pitch count for the first half of the season. And you know what I mean? So I don't know what the level of talent should be in Green Bay to what the productivity should be in Green Bay. I just don't know. And Stokes, you can't even count him in. He hasn't played this year. He played for all of 2, 3, 4 plays, and that was it. And Mike says it's been nice to see him get big wins, but I feel like the D could be better. They're top 10 in scoring. They're terrible against the rush. I'll give you that. They're one of the top teams when it comes to pass defense and one of the top 10 teams when it comes to scoring defense. So what is the level of talent that they're missing? It's a legitimate question, but I don't have an answer for you. Because I haven't seen this whole team perform together all season long. So with that take being what it is, do you then say Joe Barry has gotten more out of less because of the availability or lack thereof of many of his starters? Ask that question. 877-867-1670. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Yeah, yeah.
Welcome back. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. Rock it on. Coming up after the top of the hour, Mike Clemens. Going to hear from Mike. Mike joined us last night and had a great conversation. And so you're going to hear that coming up. By the way, Aaron Jones back at practice today. Christian Watson, Darnell Savage, they are not practicing today. Kind of figured Christian Watson, when he went down with that hamstring issue, you kind of looked at him and went, nah, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. I would have been, when it comes to the hamstring for him, I would have been shocked if he'd have been back out on the field. Just the way he went down. I was kind of optimistic because he was still standing on the sidelines and smiling and such, but I would be shocked if he would have been back. But the good news is Aaron Jones is back, but that's the guy that I said, hey, look, I don't know if I'd play him. Not on that turf. Not against that bad team. Not that you can just waste guys, but I don't think I'd put him on. I'd give him another week. It'd be great to get him back, but I'd give him another week. Would you play him this week, Grant? Would you put Aaron Jones back out on the field?
If he's healthy, yeah. I also don't want to give him 20 carries a game. I would be perfectly fine splitting carries with him and A.J. Dillon and running a very similar offense to the one they ran without him. Like, I don't think they're dying for him, but if he's healthy, yeah, mix him in and he can help you win.
Then again, now here's the other thought. Do you have to bring him back because of his pass catching ability versus losing Christian Watson? Because he does add a dynamic out of the backfield when it comes to catching passes. Is that the reason that you would feel the need to bring Aaron Jones back? Not just as a runner, but more so as a pass catcher out of the backfield, you know?
Well, yes to that for sure. You could use him in, put him in motion and use him in pass catching situations, but also like they're playing Patrick Taylor and Robinson the other night.
Yeah.
Like, just to have a second running back that you trust more than you trust basically practice squad guys. That's important.
Yeah. That's an interesting conundrum because if I wouldn't have to play him, I wouldn't. Not on that turf. That turf, not only did it take down Aaron Rodgers, which we all know, but that has been one of the fields that has been circled by the Players Association as having that uncompromising turf. There's like 2 or 3 different turf companies that are out there, and that turf is in about 4 stadiums, National Football League wise. I know Detroit is one of them. I don't know the others, but that is the turf that people have complained about. It doesn't give at all. So I don't know. But when I saw that Aaron Jones could possibly come back, my first thought was I wouldn't. The Giants aren't that good of a football team. You have better talent than them. You have a better quarterback than them. And if I could avoid bringing Aaron Jones back for this game on that turf, I would. That's just my thought. But like you said, hey, if he's healthy, then he's got to go. But if he's not 100%, then no, I don't run him back out there. Not on that stuff. John says, hey guys, a great show today. A lot of topics covered. Did you talk at all about Marquette's victory over Texas last night? What a dominating performance. John, we mentioned at the beginning of the show, and it was, I 100% agree with you. That was a dismantling of Texas last night. And now I get, that there's a connection there. There's history there. Shaka Smart coached at Texas, didn't have anywhere near the same levels of success that he had prior to coming to Marquette at Texas. So none of that was really that big a deal, so to speak. But that was a big deal for them to kind of just run over Texas the way they did. That was an impressive win last night. No doubt. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, feel free. Go ahead and hit us up. 877-867-1670. Would love to hear from you. Who's this one from? This is Anthony. Anthony says, hey, Bill, if I was going to start thinking about a contract extension for Jordan Love, the first thing I would do is gauge his opinion as to what he feels he's worth. I'm sure his agents already have the numbers in their head if he continues to play like this. However, get the number now, and that way if he plays poorly over the last 5 games, that number would diminish wholeheartedly to the point that you might not even consider giving him a contract extension. The things don't work that way, though. That's not real world. You know, I'm sorry, but it's just, it's not. That's not the way you do things. You're gonna wait it. Look, it was an honest question of just saying, hey, if the season ended today, but we all know it doesn't. There's 5 games remaining, so I would just wait it out. At the end of the season, see where the numbers are, and on one hand, it's a double-edged sword for Brian Gutekunst and Russ Ball. You want to see the guy that you started all of the anxiety in that organization with. You want to see him pay off and have you go, damn, I can give my middle finger to everybody who doubted me. Okay? Right? If you're Brian Gutekunst and you're sitting up there watching this guy progress, you're like, keep getting better, break records, break them for a guy this young with this many starts in the National Football League, just shatter them all. Bust every record Aaron Rodgers had, bust every record that's been done. We'll take it. Okay? Because you want validation. On the other hand, you're going, ooh, this guy's going to cost us a lot of money. Ooh, I don't know if we can, afford this guy if he keeps playing like this. Because that's the caveat, right? So, but if I'm Brian Gutekunst, all you want to do is win, and all you want to do is see the team that you have built, get bigger, better, stronger, faster. That's it. That's it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, please feel free to do so. Mark says, what about Kolek last night? He was lighting it up. That shot that Kolek hit, and hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. It's either Kolek or Kolek. That shot he hit just before half was huge. I mean, they were already up. They had momentum. Had they come down and not scored in that possession, okay, so be it. They still go into halftime with a lead. But he hit that three-pointer. Not only did he hit a three-pointer, but he hit that three-pointer maybe 3 steps in from the half-court line. That was like a Steph Curry type of three-point shot last night that he hit. And then they go on 86-65 and just destroy Texas last night. And that, the lead, the way the score ended, 21 points, the lead was much larger. The lead was approaching 30 points throughout a good portion of the second half of that game. It's like 26, 28, bouncing back and forth. So to have a 21-point win like that. But yeah, you're right. That was a big game last night. Got another hour yet to go. You are going to hear Mike Clemens. Michael Clemens when we return. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up, and it's coming up right after this. Right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Bucks are in the semifinals of the NBA's first in-season tournament. That's after taking down the Knicks last night, 146-122. New York came into the game with the best scoring defense in the NBA, but Milwaukee topped that average by 41 points. It included 35 from Giannis, 28 from Damian Lillard. There was some happiness afterwards. Coach Adrian Griffin said the job is not finished.
Tonight was a, huge step. We wanted to get to Vegas, but, when we get to Vegas, we got to take care of business. We got 2 games to win there. Celebrate tonight. I thought we played an outstanding game. Give credit to the Knicks that, they were tough-minded group, well-coached group. But I thought tonight our team was the better team.
Bucks now move on, take on Indiana tomorrow in Las Vegas in the semifinals. Winner gets either Lakers or Pelicans in the finals. Every player on the winning team gets $500,000. Turning to Wisconsin, they also came up with a big win last night, going on the road to beat Michigan State 70-57. It was their 3rd straight win in East Lansing, something they hadn't done since the early 60s. Badgers have won 6 in a row overall and will now face number 1 Arizona on the road this Saturday.
Mutual Insurance. keeping Wisconsin strong.
When a company only does business in Wisconsin, that's Wisconsin Strong. Rural Mutual provides all lines of insurance, including commercial, farm, home, and auto. And your premiums stay right here to keep Wisconsin strong. Local agents, local underwriters, local claims adjusters.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Packers have added a veteran running back to their backfield. Kenyon Drake was signed to the practice squad yesterday, while James Robinson was cut. This will be Drake's fourth team this year. He did run for 482 yards with the Ravens last year. Packers getting ready to face the Giants on Monday night on the road. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Welcome back. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Final hour of the program. And a reminder that coming up tomorrow night, we are going to be out at Smoke on the Water on Okauchee Lake. We are going to be there for a Christmas concert and rock concert, music and food and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully you will join us. But there are still some tickets available, and it benefits Fisher House, Wisconsin. You know me, I'll do anything for the veterans and for Fisher House. So we're going to be out there tomorrow night. But if you're in the area and you can make it, please come out. Please check it out. I'll share it out on our Facebook page. I'll share it over on the ride page, my personal page, all that stuff. I'll share it everywhere so you can find the links to get some tickets. But it's going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, it's Smoke on the Water, Okauchee BBQ. Smoke on the Water. Actually, I take the back. Smoke on the Water BBQ Okauchee over on Facebook, and they have the link there as well. But looking forward to it, and hopefully you can join us out there come tomorrow night as well. Mike Clemens joined us last night. This is a really good comment because we don't have Mike because it's a weird week because the Packers today is their Wednesday, so we don't get Mike today, and Mike will join Grant tomorrow. But we didn't really have Mike on the show yesterday. We had him last night, which was a lot of insight coming into today. So Mike Clemens joined us last night. Take a listen.
Love actually has played really well the last month or so. Into the air on first down, just swing it out to the check down. Nice move by Dillon. In space. Beautiful run to the 47-yard line. As we have an injury on the sideline, another Chief is hurt. Brian Cook, the safety. And the Chiefs medical staff across the field to look at him. It's a tough night for Kansas City.
There must be some kind of way out of here.
Kansas City couldn't get out of Lambeau Field quick enough. The return of Andy Reid back to where it kind of began for him. And then in addition to that, all the injuries begin to mount. Then they end up losing the game. And we got Mike Clemens, our guy, on the line with us. Brought to you by our friends at the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Bay Motel, quiet, cozy, comfortable, just a mile from Lambeau Field. Perfect for that family stay in the Bay Family Restaurant, home-style cooking 7 days a week. That's the Bay Motel on South Military Avenue in Green Bay. Call them today for reservations. 920-494-3441. 920-494-3441 or go to baymotelgreenbay.com. There you go. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I wanted to talk about some of the refereeing calls because I've heard people, call in and complain about that for things that went with both teams. You think that that's, we're talking about this every year, and I think we still think back to that play a couple of years ago where the Saints got robbed on a pass interference call, right? And the Rams were able to get by and go on. And they claim they're going to change and do things to help out with those kinds of calls that could determine a game with replay. And it doesn't seem to be solved, does it?
No, I completely agree with you. Now, here's the thing, Mike, and I heard this all about the call that wasn't via the pass interference. Like, that needs to be reviewable. You should be able to throw a flag for that. I'm just done with refereeing that needs to be overseen constantly. How many times have we seen a Hail Mary go up and they beat each other up and then the ball falls harmlessly to the ground? It's like, leave it alone. I mean, yeah, it was probably blatant pass interference, but the hit that Patrick Mahomes took before he went out of bounds, that shouldn't have been a penalty either.
Watch an old football game from the 90s during the Brett Favre era, just the actual broadcast. Sit there on YouTube, and within about 5 or 10 minutes, you're going to say to yourself, wow, no penalty replays. It's a faster, more enjoyable game. And John Madden can do his thing because he's not constantly dissecting frame by frame on, is that a touchdown? Is that a catch? Is that a face? I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah. And yet, Bill, I get the feeling that the NFL, besides worried about safety, fairness, dealing with the speed of the game, still letting referees make these calls so there's a human element. At the end of the day, I don't think the NFL cares. I think they love the controversy. And you know what? You're going to get robbed every once in a while because this makes the game more fun. I honestly think that that's the way these guys think. Otherwise, they could solve these problems. We talked to Matt LaFleur lately. These press conferences after the day or so after a game, they're not really press conferences. They're more like conversations. So where's Matt LaFleur in this? When he deals with that Brad Allen crew again, and Brad and his guys came to camp 2 or 3 years ago, and he's a by-the-book guy. But you just know in some of the games, it gets ticky-tacky. So we asked LaFleur, how frustrated are you when the replay shows that Jonathan Owens did not late hit Patrick Mahomes that should have been counted as just pushed out of bounds?
That's a great question for whoever's in charge, for Commissioner Goodell, I guess.
It's your team. Easy could have lost the game because of a stupid mistake, right?
Yeah, that's every week, right? I mean, like, seriously, there's some of these calls they're tough, and I get it. The game is played at an incredible rate. I mean, the speed of the game is pretty fast when you're down there, and they're not easy calls, and they got a tough job, and yeah.
Look, he's saying all the right things, and they got a tough job, and they're not easy calls, and I mean, he just, and again, every coach will tell you, he'll probably tell you, don't allow your game to come down to a bad call by a referee. You know what I mean?
Well, Bill, every year in the spring at the NFL owners meetings, these head coaches get pulled into a room, and the league says, you say a thing about the referees or about the commissioner, you're in serious trouble. It's going to be expensive, and you have got to protect the game that way. You've got to. And so these coaches that are emotional, that want a physical football game, that they're trying to get wins, you see them week after week have to bite their lip and defend at sometimes just stupidity. But LaFleur opened up just a little bit more when we re-asked and said, well, okay, this is what ticked you off the most about that penalty call on the safety Jonathan Owens when he was, because you could see on the scoreboard, 78,000 fans could see on the scoreboard, he was not out of bounds. He was in bounds. The play was live. Here's what Matt said.
The whole thing to me is just the consistency at which you call it. If you call it one way, call it that way the whole game, and call it for both teams. That's when you get frustrated, I think, if you see inconsistencies, especially in game, because there's going to be differences within crews. We all see things a little bit differently, and that's fine. And you kind of know going into games, you always give your team the report on what this crew typically calls. If you feel it early in game, if they're going to call it tight, then you better adapt and change the way you play. Or if they're letting you play, then sometimes you can play a little bit more aggressive depending upon the position. Yeah, I think when there's clear and obvious situations, i.e., not talking about this specific play, but i.e. a hit when it's in bounds, you'd like to think that there could be something done to remedy that, but that's obviously above my pay grade.
And then you talk about some of these deals like hitting a guy, because we have seen quarterbacks fake to go out of bounds and then take off the field. We have seen them fake the slide. And how do you now teach guys to pull up, don't hit them, but yet quarterbacks are doing that, and they're still in bounds. Patrick Mahomes is still in bounds. He could have stutter stepped a couple more times down the field, picked up even more yardage had he really kind of been trying to juke him. So what do you do?
Well, Jordan Love benefited from that week 2 against the Saints, as a matter of fact, Bill. And so here's what I wanted to let Packer fans know. What kind of a coach is Matt LaFleur? He's like, okay, let's, we don't want to hurt these guys. We don't want to get you caught. We don't want you to get ejected from the game. If he can use the sidelines to push a guy out of bounds, that's better than hitting him. Is Matt LaFleur actually deep down? I'd like to take their flipping heads off. I want you to crush that guy. And I think people will be surprised that that's actually because you hear Matt, when he talks about like the 49ers or even the Lions, the way they play, very physical, he admires that. He lets his locker room and Joe Barry know about that. So how do you want Joe Barry to your linebackers and corners, whether to push or hit the ball carrier out of bounds?
If you're in the field of play, you got to hit that guy. So I think J.O. did his job. It was clear to me that somebody was in the field of play, and so we're gonna keep coaching it that way, because I've also seen it. I think Jordan had one earlier this year when we were playing New Orleans, where it appeared like he was going to go to bounds, and he scooted up the sideline for an extra 20 yards or whatever it was. So I get it. It's a tough situation. It's a tough position to be in at times, but you got to ensure that they go out of bounds. If it's pushing them out of bounds, it's pushing them out of bounds. I don't really care. But if you're in the field of play, you're fair game.
Mike, which I couldn't agree more. So I'm glad they teach that way. I mean, hit them till they're outside the white lines and then just push them, stick them even further. But the other aspect of that game the other night, remember when, it was Andy Reid that said, when asked about Jordan Love, he's like, who? Do you think Andy Reid left there on Sunday night knowing Jordan Love's name now?
I think so. And the league certainly did, or rather, everybody in the media now stood up and took notice that the game against Detroit on Thanksgiving wasn't a fluke. Look at that kid, the way he plants his feet, the accuracy had improved so much more on so many of those passes. Also, his receivers still diving, but putting their bodies on the line to make some of those catches, timing and all that, and in the big spotlight. But I thought that this was a really interesting note. Because, you're going up against a Giants team where Wink Martindale kind of ripped apart Aaron Rodgers, broke down some things. Maybe we'll get to that later this week. But this was an interesting comment from a frustrated Andy Reid walking out the door, who, when you're watching Jordan Love and the play clock is 5 seconds, 4 seconds, and you're like, oh, my God, they're not getting the play in on time. He's not huddled. No, he's doing that intentionally, according to Andy Reid.
Listen, I mean, they made plays. I mean, they used the clock. They were letting it run down to that 5 seconds and below, and they're getting first down. So that becomes problem. You got to get off the field on defense. You got to stay on the field on offense and not shoot ourselves.
So there you go. Mike Clemens joining us for a couple of minutes. And let's do this. We'll break. We'll come back. We'll hear the second half of that conversation. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Smoking hot deals just keep coming with quick hot savings from Quick Trip. And right now we're cooling off with $2.99 a gallon Nature's Touch milk. All 1 gallon, 2%, 1%, and skim Nature's Touch milk, just $2.99. Hey, looking to make that perfect movie night milkshake? Or how about making those morning waffles extra fluffy? Our fresh, straight from our dairy, Nature's Touch milk is on sale and ready for your fridge. Quick hot savings from Quick Trip. Yeah, we're here to save you some moolah.
Ho, 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 I need a window.
Baby, it's cold outside.
So where do I go? Ho, ho.
Come on, Santa. Go to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Now is the time to replace your leaky windows and doors. You and Mrs. Claus can get your new windows while putting no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. Unwrap this gift now, but pay for it later.
More jingle that stays in my pocket.
That's right. Santa. Plus, our elves install year-round and in as little as 1 day. Pella offers lines in luxurious wood to fiberglass and vinyl.
Why not make a New Year's resolution today?
That's the spirit, Santa.
Hell no. Pay later.
Absolutely. Put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. But you have to hurry. Offer ends December 31st. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 12/31/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
It's huge. For me personally, it's just obviously I've had this game, circled for a long time. It's my first start. Obviously didn't play how I wanted to in the first game, so see these guys again and get the victory is huge. This is a great team winning tonight. Everybody's falling out. So
Welcome back to the program. Those words that Jordan Love talking about having that team circled for a long time. Good to have you. Bill Michaels Huddle, we continue on. Packers off today, getting back at it tomorrow. Tomorrow is actually their Wednesday because they have a Monday night contest, another primetime game.
another primetime game. So there you have it. That is happening tomorrow, happening on Monday Night Football in the Meadowlands in New York. Mike Clemens joining us on the hotline, brought to you by our friends at the Bay Motel Green Bay. Go to baymotelgreenbay.com. That's baymotelgreenbay.com. So, Mike, and that was, we were talking a little bit about Jordan Love and about the way he's played. And, you know, if down the stretch he continues to play well, they don't stumble on a team that they shouldn't lose to. And who knows, maybe he puts them into the postseason. There could be a contract extension in the future for the young man.
Yeah, I'm interested you played that clip because when he said that after the game Sunday night, I thought about it. I said, wow, that's the most in-your-face bulletin board thing that Jordan Love said about the opponent all year so far as a spokesperson for the team. So that's where his confidence is growing. I just thought that was interesting to say, for him to say, no, personally, I wanted to beat this team because they embarrassed me in my first start when Aaron went down with COVID. And speaking of Aaron, he's on the McAfee show yesterday, and one of the producers asked him this question.
Have you been surprised with what he's done over the last couple weeks here, kind of like confirming that, hey, maybe the Packers do finally have this next guy after Aaron and he is going to be the guy for the future?
No, I'm not. And he's playing especially the last 3 games, he's playing outstanding, but he's in his first year starting. Like, as well as he's playing, can we not crown him right now?
Yeah.
For his own sake. Mm-hmm. Because we shouldn't do that to kids. We shouldn't crown him and we shouldn't cancel him. But can we let him play his career? It's both sides too. People, a great example is Geno Smith. People just kicked him out of this town. And then he went and was a backup for 6 years. And then he went to a Pro Bowl. And sometimes it's situation. Sometimes it's change of scenery. Sometimes it's figure something out. I do believe you can get better at accuracy, because you throw the football from the ground up. So you learn how to have great fundamentals. Everything else, when you sync those together, everything else is going to be better. Am I surprised by the way Jordan's played? No. Am I happy for him? Hell yeah. And there's some people that probably like this, but there's some people probably thinking that I was rooting against the Packers this year, rooting against Jordan. Couldn't be farther from the truth. I'm not a bitter person about that. Like, obviously, I wish things had gotten different when I was in Green Bay. And there's things that I wish I had done better. But I have so much love for the organization. I have so many people I still talk to, every single week that work there. If I catch Jordan's game, I just send him a message. Let's give him some time to develop. You crown somebody too early, the expectations, the weight of that, it's tough to deal with.
It's interesting. I mean, first of all, he's a little repentant there, Mike, when he said, I should have done things differently. Oh, well, okay. And then he says, I wish things would have worked out differently. Do you think he's having regrets as to what's going on with him, the Jets, and all that franchise and such right now?
He's just added another chapter to what I started saying about 2 years ago. He's so frustrated. He feels like he's painted himself into a corner. And he's mentally burned out in Green Bay, and he needed to get out of there to prove once and for all, is it just him? Or is it him, or was it the organization? And now we won't know because of the injury. He sounds a little bit like Brett there, doesn't he? Remember how Brett got to this year, part of his career, and he started doing those Macbeth things, asking questions and then answering them?
Yeah,
he's still talking about the Green Bay did some things wrong, whatever. I appreciate what he says, because what I try to do when I say, man, I'm just telling you, Anders Carlson made the worst field goal attempt I've ever seen on the practice field. He's got a strong leg, but oh my God, in the win. But I'm glad that he comes out there and proves me wrong. I've said, boy, Jordan Love is having a hard time hitting the deep ball, and he proved us right with that as a game. So I've never canceled a guy like I'm Stephen A. Smith. And I appreciate that on this show, I don't have to say, yes, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. No, he sucks. They made a horrible mistake. Because I know there's some people do that. They'll judge on what his tape was at, Utah State and all that. But I just appreciate that we're able to, that's the way I try and report these things, like the way Rodgers put it. But Rodgers needs to understand, dude, you're working for two people, a GM and coach that need to win this week, and people who like to bet on NFL games, which, by the way, that show is sponsored by. So people do ask for decisiveness. Is Zach Wilson ever going to be a quarterback? Yes or no? Make a decision. Let us know. And that's the business, Aaron. You get paid. Play along.
Did you follow? I know we only got about 30 seconds here. Did you follow any of the Zach Wilson drama over the last few days? And Aaron Rodgers saying, it's kind of an expletive-filled thing that.
Yeah, and you know something, and it's you know what, and it's because this cloud follows Aaron wherever he goes.
Yep, no doubt. Mike, great stuff as always, Bub. We'll talk to you later in the week. Okay.
Thank you, Bill.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
In the heart of downtown Milwaukee, there's an all-new Potawatomi Casino Hotel, where there's a table waiting for you at 12 bars and restaurants, a winning seat at 40 table games or 3,000 slot machines, plus the thrill of bingo, full-service sports betting, and more. Are you ready to spark something new? Light up your senses at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Explore more at paysbig.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. Good half hour, too, with our guy, Mike Clemens. Good stuff with Mike, as always. One of the best. The best. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Couple of segments to go before we get out of here. Reminder coming up this weekend. Tomorrow night, we are going to be at Smoke on the Water. It is a Christmas concert, rock concert, all slammed together. And it's beverages and food, and it's all for one price. And the proceeds go to Fisher House, Wisconsin. So please, if you can join us, come out tomorrow night. They do it again on Saturday night. I won't be there on Saturday night. We got a different commitment, but I'm going to be out there emceeing and kicking things off tomorrow night. So please, if you can make it, and you're in, anywhere from Milwaukee to any one of the counties, Milwaukee County, Ozaukee County, Johnson, Creek area, come on in, Waukesha County, Walworth County, Washington County, whatever. Come on by. Racine, Kenosha, come on by, because it's going to be a great time. It really is. The music's going to be good. The group of people are going to be really, really good. But ultimately, we're doing it this time of year for military members, veterans, and their families. So obviously, if you can join us, please do it. Go to Smoke on the Water BBQ Okachi over on Facebook, and they have the Eventbrite ticket link right there, and you can buy some tickets for it as well, or just give them a call. If you're out and about, just Google them real quick, Smoke on the Water Okachi, and give them a call. Call Joe. Joe's the owner. Joe can help you out. Joe or Ellen, and they're both there. 877-867-1670. Golf Guy says Love is under contract through 2024. Why would you talk about an extension now? Well, that. You don't have to, okay, but you'd like to be able to then incorporate next year's number, put it all into that extension, get that extra year. Again, you don't have to do it this minute, and you don't have to do it immediately following the season, but it's going to get done. You don't ever leave a guy that you believe is the guy hanging into the last year of his deal, because he wants security. His people want security. Knowing that, let's just say he gets down to week 10 and breaks his leg, that then you don't even have to re-sign him. You don't even have to bring him back for the next year, or tears an ACL or something. So you don't want to go into next year going, oh, this is my last year under contract as a lame duck guy. You always are looking for that next contract. It happens, don't get me wrong, but for everybody's sake, you want to be able to kind of take care of your people, so to speak. So for everybody's sake, you want to get a deal done long term. And here's the other thing. Let's say next year you don't sign him. He comes back, has a gargantuan year, and says, no, I'm going to test the free agent waters. Then you got a good shot at losing him, So, and you don't want to have to go and franchise tag him, because does he deserve to be paid as one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the National Football League? That's the other question. You want that cap number lower, because when you commit that amount of money, there's no taking some of that salary and converting it to whatever. That's it. So if you want to give him that money and say next year is $35 million for franchise, and I don't know what the franchise tag number is, but that's a big nut, man. You don't want to give him that. So you have an option, but you don't want to have to use it if you don't have to. It just makes better business sense to get that taken care of. So 4:00 today, you got Bucks basketball that's going to be coming up. And the Bucks are in the first game of 2 tonight out in Vegas in the in-season tournament semis, taking on the Indiana Pacers. And then after that, you got the Pelicans and the Lakers. I think the world would like to see Bucks, Giannis, Damian against Lakers, LeBron, Anthony Davis. That's what the world would like to see. The Bucks, by the way, the odds to win the in-season tournament, the Bucks are plus 150. They are the favorite. The Lakers 225, Pelicans 375, and the Pacers 450. But you are looking for the Milwaukee Bucks to win this thing for a couple of reasons. One, for pride. Two, it pays the younger guys more money. But I think the world would like to see the Lakers and the Bucks. Me personally, I'd like to see the Lakers and the Bucks, and then have the Bucks just destroy the Lakers. That would be the best, because you know how I feel about the Lakers. That would be awesome. But anyway, 877-867-1670. Matthew says that's why fans shouldn't be GMs. And they're not going to franchise tag a guy coming out of his first year of his contract. Let's go to our buddy Jeff listening to us in Minocqua. Jeff, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Yeah, pretty good, Bill. Hey, thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
I tried to chime in yesterday, but it was pretty busy. So nonetheless, again, thanks for taking my call. Quick little recap of the week. I really liked it on Monday or Tuesday when you blew a gasket talking about Greeny, about some of his comments there.
Yeah.
Also, I about blew a gasket the other day or Monday night when I saw Trevor Lawrence walk to the through the tunnel to get to the locker room after not knowing really what his injury status was. So,
sure.
Like I said, I about blew a gasket on that deal there. So, again, great show this week. One more thing, Bill. Were you going to be at Stenny's tomorrow by chance?
Not tomorrow. No, we're going to be there tonight. Not tomorrow, but tonight. Tonight we're going to be there because I got friends coming to town. But tomorrow we're going to be out at Smoke on the Water for the concert.
Oh, okay. Well, too bad. We'll miss you, Bill. We're actually going to Milwaukee here later today, and we're gonna be down that way. And the wife wanted me to take her to Third Ward down there for. Yep. Some shopping, and I know Stenny's was there. I've never been to Stenny's.
Oh, go there and ask for Ryan. Ask for Ryan when you get there, and you'll have a great time.
All right, certainly we'll do that, and we look forward to stopping in. So again, great show this week, and go Pack on Monday.
All right,
Thanks,
buddy.
Billy.
Talk to you. There you go. He drops off. You get on board. 877-867-1670. 877-1670. If you want to find us, go ahead and do so. Good stuff. This is from Lee. Lee says, the running back situation in Green Bay is starting to get a little bit desperate. Would you bring Aaron Jones back next year? Obviously, this is going to be a decision that has to be made in the offseason as to whether cut him loose and pay him off, or you bring him back. But with the injuries that he's had over the last couple of years, would you pay him more money to keep him around on a longer-term contract, or would you just flat out cut him loose? That is from Lee. I'm not talking contract extension right now. That's for sure. And the running back position in the National Football League is tough. Because you look at premier running backs. Zeke Elliott has injuries. Saquon Barkley's had injuries. Some of the best running backs in the National Football League have been banged up this season. They run with two of them in Detroit. Drafted one and then have David Montgomery. You know, you got Gibbs over there. You got Bijan Robinson, who the Packers already faced, and he's solid, but you got to have another guy. The running back position, while it dictates more money because a lot of the offense can flow through the running backs, the durability of running backs is wholeheartedly in question. You have to have two or three, for that matter, as the Packers are finding out, or four. So I'm not real quick to start hacking people. Unless you've got somebody else waiting in the wings, or you know that you've got your eye on a running back coming out of the draft that's going to benefit this team, I'm not quick to get rid of anybody when the position becomes so tenuous due to injury. And I know people want to point at Aaron Jones and go, well, he's injury prone. Every running back gets banged up. Everyone does. You know, you look at guys like Earl Campbell from years ago, and even Barry Sanders to a certain extent. They got beat up, but they didn't miss a lot of time. They were They were just so incredibly durable. And it was more of a predicated run game even back then. But most teams now, think about this for a minute. Most teams now have an offensive line that is more astute at pass blocking than run blocking, which means most of what a running back does is usually creation of himself. Most running backs have to create things themselves. They have to be quick enough to get through the hole. They have to be quick enough to juke away defenders. They have to understand how it is to take a hit and not to take a hit because of the durability your body needs. I don't know that I'm ready to cut bait with Aaron Jones. And here's the other thing. He wants to be here. You've got guys that want to be here. We talk about it all the time. Oh, this guy doesn't even want to be here. Screw him. Get him out of here. And then you find guys that want to be here, but if they get banged up, I'll get rid of them. There's no loyalty on the fan base. You want loyalty from the players, but there's no loyalty from the fan base. You know, it's a cutthroat, blood ugly business. So that being said, on all sides, I don't think I'm going to be real quick to get rid of Aaron Jones, especially when he's healthy. When he's healthy, you know what he can do. And he really hasn't lost a step. I think it's been more injuries than anything. He hasn't lost a step. Now, I'm not going to give him some kind of a 3 or 4 year extension, but you know what I mean. I'm not quick to cut him loose. Grant, would you blow out your relationship with Aaron Jones at the end of the season?
No, not unless he wants to retire. I think Aaron Jones is probably in Green Bay until he's done. I think they need to get another back. So AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones don't have to be the only guys, especially as Jones ages. But no, I don't want to get rid of good football players. I'm in the business of keeping good football players, good athletes. I want to keep them on my team.
Yeah, I'm not a bbig fan of blowing out guys that have been pretty good, especially at a position that is not durable. So I just my thought. 877-867-1670. Let's go to Damian listening to us in Marshfield. Damian, what's going on, man?
Hey, Bill. I just want to tell you, keep up the good work. Every time you got a show on, that's how I go about it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Every time I'm near the radio, I try to turn you on and listen to you, and I just enjoy it all the time. So,
well, appreciate it.
Good work.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much. There you go. He drops you just calling in to say he likes it. I'll take that every day of the week. That's good stuff. This was from Richie. Richie says, all this talk about contracts, let's just talk about winning next week. Do you think that Aaron Jones should be on the field if indeed he's healthy? Richie, I touched on this a little while ago. Look, if he's healthy, he goes. But if there's a question, he doesn't go. Not on that turf. If he's not 100%, I don't put him back out there. It's an MCL strain. Remember, it was an MCL sprain. And you're messing, I don't mess with anybody's knees. You know, if you kind of err on the side of caution, give him one extra week, kind of get his feet under him. I mean, unless he comes and goes, Coach, I'm as good as I've been. No pain, no problems. You know, I'm great. The hamstring feels great. The knee feels great. That little rest, boy, I'm rejuvenated. I'm ready to go. And I put him through his paces hard this week. And if he looks like he can handle it, then he goes. Otherwise, not if I don't have to. Not if I don't have to. Only for the fact that I think you can beat this team without having Aaron Jones on the sideline. And not on that turf. So, good stuff. Let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We got a whole lot more to get to in the next segment. We got some What Do We Miss coming up. So, we'll get into that as well. We got all of that. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Point Brewing, Point Breer in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Brewing excellence since 1857. Good stuff on their part, and thanks to them for being a part of the program. We certainly appreciate it. Hang in there. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Ho, ho, ho. In the window.
Baby, it's cold outside.
So where do I go?
Come on, Santa. Go to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Now is the time to replace your leaky windows and doors. You and Mrs. Claus can get your new windows while putting no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. Unwrap this gift now, but pay for it later.
More jingle that stays in my pocket.
That's right, Santa. Plus, our elves install year-round and in as little as one day. Pella offers lines in luxurious wood to fiberglass and vinyl.
Why not make a New Year's resolution today?
That's the spirit, Santa.
Hell no.
Absolutely. Put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. But you have to hurry. Offer ends December 31st. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 12/31/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Veterans America. If you were looking for, say, a new home, a refi, mortgage, qualification, whatever it happens to be, the rates are starting to drop, and they're going to drop more in 2024. So James Mercado, he's telling me, now's kind of the time. You kind of get in, you can refinance in a short period of time, but you still get the home that you want while prices are starting to come down, rather than if the economy starts to catch up and they go back up. So he said, go ahead and give him a shout, 262-745-3333, 262-745-3333. That is our friends over there at Veterans America. Veterans America. Good stuff. James is a good guy, too. Good guy. So it's time now for What Do We Miss?
It's been a really weird week or so for people putting their foot in their mouth in the media. And sometimes it happens, but like you get it. You're on air hours a day. Every once in a while, you'll say something where it's like, that didn't come across like I meant, or I didn't mean it. That happens to everyone. But this week, like Adam Silver earlier this week, compared himself to Henry Kissinger and talked about the need for a strong military. And Pat McAfee just asked him about like how the NBA is spreading globally. It's like, why did you go there? There's no reason for that. So you mentioned this earlier on in the show, but I have the part of the story that speaks to it. Sean McDermott gave a motivational speech to the Bills and cited the 9/11 hijackers. Did you read any details about this, or did you just see a headline?
I saw the headline, and that's on my note to look at later today. Because I thought to myself, okay, this is because I'm not seeing headlines. Like I have screens here in the studio and I haven't seen any headlines on it. So I'm like, well, okay, it's not completely egregious, I guess, but tell me what he said.
So Tyler Dunn wrote this. It's a 3-part story about Sean McDermott and some of the missteps and dumb things that he's done. And he's basically saying the Bills need to fire him. By the way, Tyler Dunn going to be on tomorrow's show. 11:30 tomorrow. So I'll have to ask him about this, but I'll read you the excerpt. This will only take 30 seconds or so. At St. John Fisher College in Pittsburgh, New York, McDermott's morning address began innocently enough. He told the entire team they needed to come together. But then, sources on hand say he used a strange model. The terrorists on September 11th, 2001. He cited the hijackers as a group of people who were all able to get on the same page to orchestrate attacks to perfection. One by one, McDermott started asking specific players in the room questions. What tactics do you think they used to come together? A young player tried to methodically answer. What do you think their biggest obstacle was? A veteran answered, TSA, which mercifully lightened the mood. What the hell is this, Bill? Again, I get it. You sometimes put your foot in your mouth. You say dumb things. What would ever possess a person to do this?
That is the worst example. I get what he's trying to say. I understand it.
Sure.
But from point A to point B, he is 1,000,000% wrong. The message I understand, but there are so many better examples. Because he could have used the examples of how did, say, the military, the presidency, the transfer of presidency, then figure out what methods did they use to find Osama bin Laden and execute him and bring others to justice. So that would have been more of a success story. What an he looks like an effing gnome anyway. You put a beard on him, he's an idiot. So he looks like a moron. I mean, I can't believe that he used that.
Like, I'm no coach, but how did we build the Hoover Dam? How did we dig the Panama Canal? How did we storm the beaches at Normandy? This isn't hard. I just came up with like 3 or 4 of them. This is not rocket science. How did 9/11? How do you start there?
How did they build and fit perfectly so many girders, so many walls, so many stanchions to be able to build some of the tallest buildings in the world?
Yes.
You know, some of these architectural, incredible structures that we have. I mean, right here in our own backyard, we have the Art Museum, the Calatrava, which is an amazing accomplishment within itself. It's a building that looks as if it's flying and opens its wings. How did they put together the roof for American Family Field? Sean McDermott's a horse's ass. Oh my God.
It's not good. Speaking of putting your foot in your mouth, Mad Dog, Chris Russo on First Take obliterates Shohei Ohtani's hushed free agency. Quote, what is this? The atomic bomb? What are we?
Yeah.
This isn't hard, Bill.
Yeah, that's, I get what he's saying because he might have just seen the movie. What's the movie about?
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer. Thank you. Maybe he just went and saw Oppenheimer. Okay. But that's not as egregious, but yeah, you can't use it in the same sentence as Shohei Ohtani. You just can't.
Quote, what's the big secret? Geez, he's a free agency. He's talked to 6 teams. What is this? The atomic bomb? We're not allowed to find out. This is baseball. He's not wrong. But again, use another example.
He could have talked about Area 54.
There you go.
He could have talked about the aliens, Wright Pat Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. He could have got into all of that. All the behind the scenes, blanked out paperwork coming from the government regarding the JFK assassination, all of that. He didn't have to go to an atomic bomb.
It's just not. Well, and this one is a little bit, we're judging dumb comments against dumb comments. I think An atomic bomb reference is maybe a little more harmless than a 9/11 reference, but now we're splitting hairs.
What did I say? Area 54? I think it's Area 51. Rick says
one of those areas. There probably is an Area 54.
Well,
we don't know about it.
There was Studio 54 where a lot happened and we didn't find out about it until after the day. Studio 54, Area 51. Thank you very much.
We probably don't know about Area 54. That's what it's like.
Man.
District 13 in the Hunger Games. I just saw the new Hunger Games movie last week.
Oh, okay.
It's on my mind. One thing that I thought we might bring up today, it's not a stat, it's nothing qualitative or quantitative, but we talked about Joe Barry yesterday.
Yeah.
And how his defense has been better. Now, Ted Nguyen, who, writer for The Athletic, I just wanted to check, tweeted this yesterday, and I don't have numbers, but I think we would agree that this is true, and maybe we can talk about this for a minute or two before the end of the show. He tweeted, Joe Barry's defense is designed to limit Patrick Mahomes. The problem is he uses the same defense against Kenny Pickett and lets them rush for 200 yards, right? So I think maybe that's a good addition to our Joe Barry conversations. Like he can keep a lid on an explosive quarterback, but when you're playing Kenny Pickett or on Monday night, Tommy DeVito, can you change it up a little bit?
That's a great point. I mean, there's certain things you do against quarterbacks like that. And, we saw Spagnuolo do it early on to Jordan Love, and that is you pressure the hell out of them. Make them beat you. Don't sit back and let them beat you. Make them beat you. And Joe Barry has always been known as I'm going to back off and keep everything in front of me, and we're going to play a nice, soft, vanilla style of defense. Hopefully we come up a few plays, get a few tackles, and get off the field. I would love to see just Joe Barry become an aggressive play caller. Just get after guys, especially subpar performers. That I completely agree with right there. 100%.
Yeah, against Mahomes, you don't want Mahomes to beat you on one big explosive play. I get that. But Tommy DeVito, Kenny Pickett, these guys, it doesn't matter what kind of defense you're playing. Those guys aren't going to beat you on one big explosive play. So change it up a little bit.
And with Patrick Mahomes, the number one thing you always do is contain him. You cannot allow him to get off script because when he does, he will kill you. He's done it. He's made a living at it. That's his highlight reel. Out scrambling, tossing, underhand, overhand, deep, whatever. So you just contain him, make him beat you through the air, and then make them beat you with the run game and just try to do enough bending and not break to be able to just kind of remain hanging with them in the ball game. And that's what the Packers did. They got off to an early lead, never looked back. But when you got a Kenny Pickett and you don't have a lot of talent other than Saquon Barkley around him, the first thing you do is stuff the run, and in passing situations, you get after him big time. Like you're hunting him. That's what you do. You just... I've never, ever been a bit, and that's why going back to the Travis Kelce third down situation the other night, you just saw two guys rushing. Everybody else was dropping back in some type of coverage. Two guys rushing the passer. It's like, what are you doing? You're not putting pressure on Mahomes. You're leaving soft zone openings for Travis Kelce to get into on long downs. Why would you do that? And again, I get you don't want to allow, Patrick Mahomes on the outside to beat you, but in third and long, you're not going to just try to shut the deal down there. If you're not going to do it there, then when are you going to do it? If you're not going to go after him in third and long, when would you do it?
This is the game where Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, these are the stats. These are the rankings in pass blocking efficiency. We can wrap up with this. Andrew Thomas, not ranked. He hasn't played 250 snaps. Their left guard is 56 of 58. Their center is 32 of 34. Their right guard is 51 of 58. And their right tackle is 59 of 66. So all these guys are ranked right near the bottom in pass protection.
Right.
Joe Barry should have a field day. Let's play aggressive defense.
Yep. Get after him. Just mindful of, your linebacker being aware of Saquon Barkley. Beyond that, get after him. All right. That'll do it for me. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be over at Smoke on the Water. And we're going to have that Christmas concert. Grant is here tomorrow. I am off tomorrow. I've got a ton of people coming to town, and I got fires to put out today already. And then I'll be back. We'll be back on Monday, and then Monday night, obviously, after the game. So good stuff. Grant, I'll see you on Saturday.
I'll see you Saturday night. You should see my gift for you. Holy smokes.
I don't need a gift. Just you and Rachel showing up is gift enough.
Well, if you say that, okay, fine.